Chapter 1499. This little Lion King bullies the weak and fears the strong. He's picking on the weak. That's right. That young man is only in his 20s. He hasn't cultivated for many years, so his cultivation shouldn't be very high. If the little Lion King wants to deal with him, it'll be as easy as moving a finger. As long as he catches that young man, his deity realm bodyguard will have to obediently submit. Immediately, many people started discussing. Clearly, when the little Lion King wanted to deal with Lin Feng, no one was optimistic about Lin Feng. In many people's eyes, the disparity in strength between the two sides was too great. Everyone thought that under the pressure of the little Lion King's terrifying divine pressure, Lin Feng wouldn't be able to withstand it. It was very likely that Lin Feng would be forced to kneel on the ground by the little Lion King's divine pressure. But soon, everyone realized that something was wrong. When the little Lion King's powerful divine pressure pressed down on Lin Feng was stunned. Lin Feng stood in place with a calm expression. The powerful divine pressure didn't seem to have any effect on Lin Feng. What's going on? Many people were dumbfounded. They didn't understand what was going on. On the other side, the expert from the three-eyed Golden Lion clan was already engaged in a fierce battle with the poison ancestor. The battle between the deity realm cultivators couldn't attract the attention of the onlookers. Everyone looked at Lin Feng. Everyone was extremely puzzled. How did Lin Feng resolve the divine pressure? You actually dispelled this young master's divine pressure. How did you do it? The little Lion King asked with a slightly gloomy expression. Is it that difficult to resolve the divine pressure released by a piece of trash like you? Lin Feng curled his lips and said. Many people looked at Lin Feng with wry smiles. Du Zhu had been arrogant enough before. However, Lin Feng seemed to be even more arrogant than Du Zhu. In the eyes of these onlookers, Du Zhu had the right to be arrogant. After all, Du Zhu had already displayed the strength of the divine state and even crushed the little Lion King. Therefore, no one thought that Du Zhu's arrogance was unacceptable. However, Lin Feng, a young cultivator, was even more arrogant than Du Zhu. He directly called the little Lion King a piece of trash. He was completely looking down on the little Lion King. Are all these rich second generations retarded? His clan is powerful and he has a god-level bodyguard, so he can be arrogant. But the problem is that his bodyguard is being held back. Now, he's facing a god-level expert like the young Lion King alone, yet he's still so arrogant. Is he tired of living? He's probably used to being arrogant and hasn't changed. Look at the little Lion King's gloomy eyes. You can see how angry he is. Just wait and see. I dare say that the little Lion King won't let that young prince off. At the very least, he'll break his limbs. Many people whispered. Everyone thought that Lin Feng was playing with fire this time. He would definitely be beaten up miserably by the little Lion King. At this time, the little Lion King had already rushed in front of Lin Feng. He waved his huge claws and clawed at Lin Feng. If this terrifying attack hit his body, wouldn't all the bones in his body be smashed? Feeling the powerful aura emitted from the little Lion King's body, many people couldn't help but gasp. Many people even began to mutter, would the little Lion King's attack directly kill that young master? Just as the little Lion King's attack was about to hit the young prince. Suddenly, everyone widened their eyes in disbelief, because the young prince disappeared from where he was as if he had teleported. The next moment, he appeared on the left side of the little Lion King. Oh my God, what kind of speed is this? Isn't this too fast? It's simply abnormal. Many people exclaimed. They were shocked by Lin Feng's speed. The next moment, a loud bang was heard. The little Lion King was sent flying by Lin Feng's kick. Crack, crack. The sound of bones cracking was heard. It was unknown how many of the little Lion King's bones were broken by Lin Feng's kick. The little Lion King was actually injured. Many people looked at this scene in disbelief. This was something that no one had thought of. Someone said that young prince's speed is too fast. In the world of martial arts, only speed is invincible. His attack just now was also very simple. He used an unbelievable speed to dodge the little Lion King's attack, and then instantly injured the little Lion King. Another person said, yes, his speed is a bit too fast. If the little Lion King wants to deal with him, he must first limit his speed. Gold domain. The little Lion King roared. The third eye between his eyebrows slightly revealed a slit. In an instant, a gold domain was formed. This is the three-eyed golden lion clan's innate ability, the gold domain. It's said that cultivators who are trapped in the gold domain will be suppressed by it. Their speed, cultivation, perception, reaction, strength, and so on will be greatly weakened. Now that the little Lion King has used the gold domain, that young prince probably won't be able to resist it. Someone recognized the little Lion King's ultimate technique and immediately spoke up. Many people nodded, agreeing with the cultivator's point of view. The little Lion King was extremely confident in his gold domain. He walked in the gold domain, step by step, towards Lin Feng. The little Lion King sneered and said, "Do you feel fear now? Do you regret your stupid words now?" Lin Feng sneered and said, "Do you know what the most ridiculous thing in the world is? It's not knowing how strong you are." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng walked towards the little Lion King in the gold domain. "Look, that young prince is walking freely in the gold domain. What's going on? Logically speaking, he shouldn't be able to move an inch. I'm afraid that we've all underestimated that young prince." Seeing that Lin Feng wasn't affected by the gold domain, many people couldn't help but cry out in shock. They stared unblinkingly at Lin Feng, who was inside the gold domain. These onlookers didn't dare to look away, afraid that they would miss the scene below. "You're courting death," the little Lion King shouted coldly and waved his huge claws, attacking Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Facing the little Lion King's attack, he waved his right fist and punched at the little Lion King. Bang! Along with the dull sound of the collision, there was a loud bang. Lin Feng and the little Lion King collided. Lin Feng stood in place. He didn't move an inch. The little Lion King was sent flying as if he had been struck by lightning. Crack, crack! The huge claws that collided with Lin Feng were directly broken. The powerful shockwave even caused the little Lion King to be seriously injured. With a plop, the little Lion King fell to the ground and struggled to get up. But at this moment, Lin Feng descended from the sky and stepped on the little Lion King's head. "A piece of trash like you dares to jump in front of this young master? Who gave you the guts?" Lin Feng looked down at the little Lion King with an indifferent expression. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. The little Lion King was a divine realm expert. He was actually defeated by a young cultivator in his 20s. What was that young cultivator's cultivation level? It was actually so terrifying. Chapter 1500. How is this possible? How can I be defeated by you? The little Lion King couldn't accept that he had been defeated by Lin Feng. His eyes were bloodshot. For someone as proud and arrogant as him, being trampled on by Lin Feng was even worse than being killed. When Duzu saw that Lin Feng had defeated the little Lion King, he immediately shouted, "Your trash of a nephew has been suppressed by our young master. Do you still want to continue fighting?" This was Lord 19 of the Three-Eyed Golden Lion clan. His name was Xian Daoyuan. Just like Duzu, he was at the peak of the Nihility God realm. Moreover, the Three-Eyed Golden Lion clan had the blood of divine beasts flowing in their veins. Therefore, Xian Daoyuan was much stronger than many cultivators of the same level. At that moment, Xian Daoyuan's expression was extremely unsightly. The little Lion King was called Xian Qianlei. He was Xian Daoyuan's elder brother, and the youngest son of the three-eyed Golden Lion clan's leader. Furthermore, Xian Qianlei was loved by the older generation of the clan. His talent was also monstrous. Therefore, when he saw that Xian Qianlei had fallen into Lin Feng's hands, Xian Daoyuan didn't dare to act blindly without thinking. If Lin Feng really crippled or killed Xian Qianlei, he wouldn't be able to explain it to his clan. When cultivators fight, victory and defeat are commonplace. Today, my uncle and nephew have been defeated wholeheartedly. You can ask for anything. If we can do it, we'll definitely satisfy you. Xian Daoyuan was also a flexible person. Now, he could see that the two people in front of him were simply lawless masters. He didn't know where they came from. Xian Daoyuan guessed that they might be the successors of a major force that came out from some star field to gain experience. People like that could either be killed directly or tried not to offend them as much as possible, just like Lin Feng and Du Zhu. If the two of them really killed Xian Qianlei and left, the starry sky world was vast and boundless. Even if the three-eyed Golden Lion clan wanted to take revenge, they wouldn't be able to do it because they couldn't find them. It was too easy to avoid being chased in the starry sky world. Xian Daoyuan had cultivated, for 52 million years. What kind of things had he not seen before? That was why he took the initiative to lower his stance and wanted to make peace with Lin Feng. Lin Feng slightly smiled and said, "I like dealing with people who are reasonable. How about this? 1,000 God-grade formation materials, and I'll let him go." Array formation materials were extremely precious, and God-level array formation materials were even more precious. They were things that could only be chanced upon by luck. However, a force as large as the three-eyed Golden Lion clan would definitely have a lot of precious God-level array formation materials. No problem. Just wait for a moment. I'll order someone to go to our clan's trading company on Lanrua planet to get it, Xian Daoyuan said. Lin Feng nodded. For the sake of 1,000 array formation materials, what harm was there in waiting for a moment? Deacon Zhang, take my command medallion and go to the treasury of the trading firm to retrieve 1,000 deity-grade array materials, Xian Daoyuan said to a cultivator in the crowd. Yes, sir. That cultivator took Xian Daoyuan's command medallion and quickly left. 1,000 deity-grade array materials. Xian Daoyuan actually agreed. Those deity-grade array materials are extremely precious. It'll probably take tens of thousands of years to collect them, right? Even large trading companies won't sell such treasures because the organizations behind them also need deity-grade array materials. For example, some ancient ships in the starry skies can use deity-grade array materials to create arrays, and the power of the ancient ships will immediately increase. Xian Qianlei is in that young prince's hands. How can Xian Daoyuan not agree? Even if it hurts him, he still has to agree. Speaking of which, that young master is truly audacious. He actually dares to demand such an exorbitant price, directly asking for 1,000 divine tier formation materials. Although Xian Daoyuan agreed to fulfill his demand, he probably hates him to death, right? That young prince isn't from the chaotic star divine region. He's probably a disciple of a powerful organization from another starfield. He's so strong, and he has deities by his side. He's fearless. He doesn't seem to be afraid of the three-eyed Golden Lion clan. Maybe he has some powerful trump cards? That's what I'm thinking too. A disciple of such a powerful group must have a terrifying trump card. If they really fought to the death, even if they managed to kill that young man, The three-eyed golden lions would have to pay a heavy price, said Lin Feng. Many people were discussing. Now, they were looking at Lin Feng in awe. Strong cultivators were respected no matter where they were. Not long after, the deacon who had gone to retrieve the deity-grade array materials returned. "Master, there are 1,000 godly deployment materials in this pouch," said Lin Feng. The deacon gave a bag of deity-grade array materials and a command medallion to Xian Daoyuan. Xian Daoyuan put the command medallion away and threw the bag to Lin Feng. Then he said, "Check if it's enough." Lin Feng smiled. The three-eyed golden lion clan is a powerful clan in the starry sky. It's beneath you to play tricks. Lin Feng put the bag away, waved his hand, and left with Du Zhu. The young lion king crawled up from the ground, his eyes blazing with anger. 19th uncle. The young lion king wanted to say something. Xian Daoyuan said, "This isn't the place to talk. Let's go back." The young lion king nodded gloomily. Then he followed Xian Daoyuan back to the three-eyed golden lion clan's trading company on Lanrua planet. The young lion king transformed into a cultivator wearing a golden robe. His expression was ferocious as he said, "19th uncle, I can't take this lying down. Today's matter didn't just damage my reputation. The three-eyed golden lion clan will definitely be implicated as well. It's all because of that brat. I wish I could cut him into 1,000 pieces." Xian Daoyuan said, "I understand your anger and grievance, but Lanrua planet isn't a place to kill him. Besides, that brat isn't simple. He gives me the feeling that he's even more dangerous than his guard." "How is that possible? His guard can fight against 19th uncle. He must be at the peak of the void god realm. That brat is only in his 20s. How can he have such terrifying battle prowess?" The young lion king couldn't believe it. Xian Daoyuan's eyes flashed coldly as he said, "I'm guessing that it's because of some powerful treasure. That brat must have many treasures on him. I'll send a message to the clan and have them send experts. When that brat enters the starry sky world, he'll die." Chapter 15:01. Lin Feng and Du Zhu headed towards the street where the large trading companies were located. Du Zhu said, "I'm afraid that the three-eyed golden lion clan won't let this matter rest." Lin Feng nodded. "That's for sure, but it's not a big deal. We'll deal with whatever comes our way. If worse comes to worst, we'll just leave. What's there to be afraid of?" At that moment, Lin Feng could be said to be fearless and audacious. He also had a forbidden weapon, the purple lightning hammer. He still had 3 more chances to use the hammer. If an even stronger divine flame realm expert came, he could just use the hammer to smash them to death. If he wanted to leave, it would be too easy. There were several large trading companies on Lanrua planet, and the largest of them was the Alliance of Stars Trading Company. The Alliance of Stars Trading Company was the trading company behind the enormous fleet Lin Feng had seen in the Outer Realm. The Alliance of Stars was very mysterious and powerful, and its background was incredibly deep. The Outer Realms were formed in a very strange way. Normally, a group of stars would form a stellar region, such as Lanrua planet, Leo planet, and the other stars in the Chaos Star Divine realm. Different stellar regions would form even larger galaxies, such as the Milky Way, the Huan Galaxy, the Hunter Galaxy, and so on. The Chaos Star Divine realm and a dozen or so other stellar regions combined to form the largest galaxy in the Outer Realms. This galaxy was known as the Scattered Star System. The Alliance of Stars was one of the largest powers in the Scattered Star System. It was so powerful and had so many businesses that it covered every single stellar region in the Scattered Star System. For example, the Alliance of Stars trading companies existed on all the vital planets in the Chaos Star Divine realm. Many vital planets had deep connections with the Alliance of Stars. The Alliance of Stars trading company on Lanhua Planet was bustling with activity. After Lin Feng and the poison ancestor arrived, a deacon came over. It was a female deacon. The female attendant bowed and said with a smile, "May I know if there's anything I can do for you two, fellow Taoists?" Lin Feng said, "We have two important businesses to discuss. Can you introduce us to the elders of the Alliance of Stars?" "Fellow Taoists, please follow me." The attendant smiled as she led the way. The attendant brought Lin Feng and Du Zhu to a guest hall, where a beautiful servant girl served them tea. The attendant then personally went to invite the elders. Not long after, an old man walked in with the female deacon. The old man was rather fat, but he had a ruddy complexion, and a smile was plastered on his face. The Alliance was a huge power, so everything that happened on Lanhua Planet could not be hidden from them. If it were anyone else, they would have run away immediately after nearly killing the young master of the three-eyed golden lion and extorting a large amount of precious deity-grade formation materials. Why would they continue to stay on Lanhua Planet? Were they not afraid of the three-eyed golden lion's revenge? But these two demon-like existences didn't leave. What did that mean? They were clearly fearless. All sorts of thoughts flashed through the elder's mind, but he didn't stop walking. He cupped his fists and smiled. "I'm sorry to have kept you waiting." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Elder, you're too polite. We just sat down. That's all." Elder Li Shiwan muttered to himself. Didn't the outside world say that this young master was arrogant and despotic? But he didn't seem like the arrogant and despotic kind of person. Although Elder Li Shiwan was full of doubts, he was a shrewd old man, so he didn't show anything out of the ordinary. He smiled and said, "I heard that this young master wants to do 2 deals with our firm. May I know what they are?" Lin Feng replied, "The first deal is to sell 25 ancient starships to your firm. The second deal is to buy a batch of deity-grade starstones from your firm. The price is negotiable." Elder Li Shiwan said, "The first deal is no problem, but the second deal is a little troublesome." Lin Feng raised an eyebrow. "The Alliance of Stars is a huge firm. Don't tell me that they don't have deity-grade starstones for sale?" Elder Li Shiwan replied, "Deity-grade starstones are a scarce resource. They're extremely rare, and everyone wants to get their hands on them. However, they're pitifully few in number. That's why the various large firms don't sell deity-grade starstones. Even if they do manage to collect them, they're usually taken away by the power behind the firm." The situation was exactly as Elder Li Shiwan had said. Deity-grade starstones were a scarce resource, and the firms were backed by top-tier powers. The cultivators of these top-tier powers also needed deity-grade starstones. Deity-grade starstones weren't enough for them to be self-sufficient. How could they take them out to sell? Lin Feng asked, "How about bartering?" "Oh, what would you like to offer in exchange?" Elder Li Shiwan asked. Lin Feng replied, "A spirit fruit that's 50,000 years old or older. How about that?" Elder Li Shiwan's eyes lit up when he heard Lin Feng's words. A spirit fruit that was 50,000 years old or older was considered a king medicine. It was a precious treasure. Not only could it extend a cultivator's lifespan, but it was also a precious healing medicine. 10 50,000 years old spirit fruits in exchange for a deity-grade starstone. Elder Li Shiwan said. Lin Feng nodded. "All right, How many deity-grade starstones can the Alliance of Stars take out? It's hard to say. I'll have to report this to the higher-ups and let them decide. However, deity-grade starstones are too rare, so I don't think we can take out too many, elderly Xiuan said. When the time comes, I'll have to trouble elderly. Lin Feng took out a storage pouch and handed it to elderly Xiuan. Elderly Xiuan scanned the pouch with his divine sense and found that it contained 1,000,000 top-grade starstones. Elderly Xiuan was overjoyed and thought to himself, this person is really rich. He's giving away 1,000,000 top-grade starstones, so casually. Elderly Xiuan put the pouch away and smiled. When the time comes, I'll definitely fight for you. Thank you. Lin Feng cupped his fists. Elderly Xiuan smiled. You're too polite. After a pause, Elderly Xiuan continued, I'll send someone to take a look at your ancient ships. Then we'll finalize the price. No problem. Lin Feng nodded and asked Du Zhu to bring a few representatives from the Alliance of Stars to assess the value of the ancient ships. Author's note, the exam is coming soon. Check the exam venue today. Update at night. Chapter 1502. Du Zhu brought the people from the Star Domain Alliance to evaluate the price of the ancient starship, while Lin Feng continued to wait in the trading company. There were higher-ups from the Star Domain Alliance overseeing the trading company, so Li Xiuan personally went to report to them that Lin Feng had used spirit fruits that were over 50,000 years old to exchange for God-grade star stones. In the end, the higher-ups from the Star Domain Alliance discussed and decided to use 100 God-grade starstones to exchange for the spirit fruits with Lin Feng. God-grade starstones were precious, so Lin Feng was quite satisfied to be able to exchange for 100 of them. Not long after, Du Zhu returned. According to the trading company's evaluation, one ancient starship was worth 15 million top-grade starstones. 25 ancient starships were worth 375 million top-grade starstones. After completing these two transactions, Lin Feng and Du Zhu returned to their residence. They planned to rest for 2 days before continuing on their journey to the Tianwu continent. The night is long, and I'm not in the mood to sleep. Let's go. I'll treat you to some wine. Du Zhu grinned. He had nothing to do, so he wanted to go out and enjoy himself. Lin Feng said, You can go by yourself. I don't want to go out tonight. Du Zhu went out to enjoy himself, while Lin Feng stayed in his residence. There was a hot spring in the courtyard. Lin Feng soaked in the hot spring first, and his fatigue disappeared. Then Lin Feng sat on the roof and looked at the moon, tasting wine by himself. What's on the moon? The legendary fairy Chang, the jade rabbit spirit, the moon palace? Lin Feng muttered to himself. At that moment, he suddenly thought of a poem written by a Confucian expert from the primordial era. When will the moon appear? With wine in my hand, I asked the blue sky, I wonder what year it is in the heavenly palace. I want to ride the wind and return home, but I fear the jade palaces are too cold at the top, dancing with the clear shadows. How is it like being in the mortal world, turning red pavilions, low and beautiful, illuminated without sleep, without hate? How can the moon be round when we part? People have their joys and sorrows, and the moon waxes and wanes. This has been difficult since ancient times. I hope that people will live long, thousands of miles apart. Now that he recited this poem, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a myriad of emotions in his heart. All these years of drifting outside, it was difficult for him to reunite with his lover and separate from his family. It was like the waxing and waning of the moon. However, no matter what difficulties he faced, Lin Feng knew, even he had to persevere. The world of cultivators was just this cruel. If one did not work hard to advance, they would be eliminated by the cruel laws of the world of cultivators. Survival of the fittest. In his drunken stupor, Lin Feng suddenly saw a sneaky figure coming from afar. The figure arrived outside Lin Feng's courtyard. "It's her." Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. This person was the female cultivator called Hua Yihan from earlier in the day. This woman's figure was petite and exquisite, but her upper body was very voluptuous. Naturally, there was nothing to say about her figure, and her face was also very beautiful. Of course, his temper was also fiery enough. If the woman in the white palace dress hadn't stopped him, Hua Yihan would have definitely attacked Du Zhu. "Is this woman here to teach Du Zhu a lesson?" Lin Feng could not help but mutter. The situation was exactly as Lin Feng had guessed. Hua Yihan was indeed here to teach Du Zhu a lesson. Hua Yihan's temper was quite fiery. Du Zhu had whistled at the group of senior and junior sisters and teased them. How could Hua Yihan swallow her anger? However, because the woman in the white palace dress had stopped him, Hua Yihan had no choice but to temporarily suppress the anger in her heart. Now, it was late at night. The group of senior and junior sisters had already gone to bed. Therefore, Hua Yihan sneaked out and came to the small courtyard where Lin Feng and Du Zhu lived. The small courtyard was protected by a restriction that required a medallion to activate. However, Hua Yihan seemed to be quite proficient in formations. Her hands formed a series of seals. Runes intertwined and entered the small courtyard's restriction. Immediately, the light barrier parted on its own, allowing Hua Yihan to walk in. She gently pushed open the courtyard's door, then snuck into the room like a cat. After looking around, Hua Yihan was unable to find Lin Feng and Du Zhu in the room. She walked out angrily and cursed in a low voice. "Two grown men aren't at home in the middle of the night. There's an 80% chance that they're out drinking. I already knew that they weren't good people." At that moment, Lin Feng, who was sitting on the roof, coughed. Hua Yihan jumped in fright. She turned around and saw Lin Feng jump down. Lin Feng said, "Instead of sleeping, you sneaked into someone else's residence in the middle of the night and even cursed the owner for being a bad person. Don't you think you've gone overboard?" When Hua Yihan saw Lin Feng, she snorted coldly and asked, "Where's the other guy?" Lin Feng shrugged and said, "He went out to take care of something. He'll probably be back tomorrow." "Why? Why are you looking for him in the middle of the night? Do you have some personal matters to attend to? Don't tell me you've taken a liking to him?" Nothing good can come out of a dog's mouth. Hua Yihan glared at Lin Feng fiercely. She waved her right hand, and a sword flew out. The sword floated above Hua Yihan, and then split into three. They buzzed and released millions of strands of sword chi that emitted a cold light. Lin Feng said, "What are you doing? Could it be that you want to fight with me? If you want to fight, go fight that guy. I didn't do anything to you, so why are you trying to fight me?" Hua Yihan said coldly, "That guy is your friend, right? I think you're all jackals of the same tribe." Lin Feng said, "He's not my friend. That guy is my guard." "Humph, a guard going out to have fun, leaving his master alone in his residence? Who are you trying to fool?" Hua Yihan snorted, obviously not believing Lin Feng's words. Lin Feng said, "Who asked me to be so kind? I treat my subordinates like brothers. If he wants to go out to have fun, then let him." Hua Yihan sneered, "Keep your lies to yourself. I don't believe your nonsense. Since that guy isn't here, I'll deal with you first before dealing with that bastard." Lin Feng said, "It's not too late to leave now. If you continue to pester me, I'll strip you naked and punish you on the spot." Lin Feng's gaze swept over Hua Yihan's body and finally stopped at her proud spot. Lin Feng had seen many beauties in his life. At this moment, he couldn't help but sigh. What turbulent waves! What did she eat to develop? "Bastard, where are your eyes looking? Do you think I won't turn you into a eunuch? Feeling Lin Feng's burning gaze, Hua Yihan felt as if her clothes were being stripped off. It was as if a pair of large hands were caressing her body, causing her to feel weak. Hua Yihan was both embarrassed and angry. She immediately controlled the 3 flying swords to attack Lin Feng. Chapter 15:03. Hua Yihan was indeed a woman with a fiery temper. She attacked as soon as she said so. 3 flying swords shot towards Lin Feng at lightning speed. Lin Feng said, "Since you're so stubborn, don't blame me for being impolite." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng waved his right hand. Powerful magic power surged out and swept towards the 3 flying swords. Clang, 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 the sound of collision rang out. The 3 flying swords were all swept away. Lin Feng's body swayed, slightly. In the next moment, he was already in front of Hua Yihan. Hua Yihan's pretty face suddenly changed. She didn't expect Lin Feng to be so powerful. Hua Yihan quickly retreated, wanting to avoid Lin Feng's attack. However, it was too late. Lin Feng's right hand lightly tapped Hua Yihan's body, scattering Hua Yihan's magic power. Then, his left hand grabbed Hua Yihan's slender waist. Clang, clang, clang. The 3 flying swords lost control and fell to the ground. Lin Feng smiled at Hua Yihan and said, "Is that all you've got? You dare to show off with that little bit of skill? Tell me honestly, are you secretly in love with me, so you're looking for an excuse to take the initiative to throw yourself at me?" Puffed. When Hua Yihan heard Lin Feng's words, she immediately spat at Lin Feng and said angrily, "Hurry up and let go of me, or I'll shout. If you alarm my senior and junior sisters, you'll be dead." Lin Feng smiled. "There's a soundproof barrier in the courtyard, so you won't be able to hear anything outside. Therefore, if you want to shout and call your fellow disciples, I'm afraid you won't be able to do it." Hua Yihan's eyes turned, and she immediately begged, "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have acted so willfully. I apologize to you. You're a man, so you won't lower yourself to the same level as a little girl, right?" Lin Feng wasn't used to seeing the hot-tempered Hua Yihan become so pitiful. When Lin Feng said he would strip Hua Yihan naked and punish her on the spot, he was only trying to scare this hot-tempered girl. Now that he saw Hua Yihan begging for mercy, Lin Feng decided to let her go. However, when Lin Feng saw the sly look in Hua Yihan's eyes, Lin Feng immediately changed his mind. Hua Yihan wasn't sincerely begging for mercy. Lin Feng was sure that if he let Hua Yihan go now, she might call a group of senior and junior sisters to cause trouble for him. Lin Feng smiled at Hua Yihan. "Are you afraid now? What were you doing just now?" Hua Yihan immediately looked as if she was going to cry, and she said pitifully, "I've already admitted that I was wrong, so please spare me this time. I promise that I won't make trouble for you again." Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. Women were all natural actresses. Even a hot-tempered girl like Hua Yihan could instantly become teary-eyed and pitiful. If it was any other woman, they would probably be even better at acting. Lin Feng's left hand wrapped around Hua Yihan's small waist, and his right hand started to roam around her hot body. "Ah, what are you doing? Let go of me." Hua Yihan immediately screamed. Her face turned pink, and her body trembled slightly. It was obvious that she had never been touched by a man before, so her body was extremely sensitive. "Didn't I just say it? I'm going to punish you on the spot. That's exactly what I'm going to do now." Lin Feng said with a smile, "You can't do this to me." Hua Yihan struggled, her face pale with fright. Lin Feng said with a smile, "It's useless to say anything now. Even if you beg for mercy, it's useless. I won't fall for it." Hua Yihan had lost all of her magic power, so she couldn't struggle free. When she felt Lin Feng's right hand reach into her clothes, she was almost scared to tears. Lin Feng tugged hard and directly tore Hua Yihan's undergarments off her body. It was a transparent white undergarment that felt quite good to the touch. It even had the warmth of Hua Yihan's body. "You're shameless." Hua Yihan used both hands to protect her body. Her undergarments had been torn off by Lin Feng and held in his hand. This made her feel extremely ashamed, and her face was so red that it seemed like blood would drip out. Lin Feng took Hua Yihan's undergarments and took 2 steps backwards, smiling. "I think I'm a good person. If I were a bad person, I wouldn't have just taken off your undergarments. I would have stripped you naked and turned you into a married woman. Now, take your 3 broken swords and leave. Don't come and cause trouble for me again. Otherwise, I might tell people about your undergarments. I'm a big man, so it's not a big deal, but it's a big problem for your reputation." Hua Yihan was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. She wanted nothing more than to chop Lin Feng into pieces. But now that Lin Feng had something on her, she could only glare hatefully at Lin Feng. Then she put away her swords and ran out of Lin Feng's courtyard with a red face. After Hua Yihan left, Lin Feng took a whiff of Hua Yihan's undergarments. There was a faint scent of her body. Lin Feng immediately felt that his actions were too vulgar and shameless. He muttered to himself, "A man's true colors. Actually, I think I'm already a gentleman." After putting away Hua Yihan's undergarments, he returned to his room and lay down on the bed to sleep. Hua Yihan's matter was just a small interlude to Lin Feng. He didn't care too much about it. The next morning, Du Zhu came back after a night of debauchery. Then, this guy was beside Lin Feng, bragging about which beauty had the most enchanting figure, which beauty had the most slender legs, and which beauty had the most impressive peaks. Seeing the chattering Du Zhu, Lin Feng directly kicked this guy away. After resting for 2 days, Lin Feng planned to leave for the Tianmu continent. Just as he was about to check out of his room, suddenly a loud rumbling sound came from the 9 heavens. The void was trembling violently. No one knew what was going on. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Some of the deity realm experts directly rushed to the outer realm. As for the cultivators who hadn't broken through to the deity realm, they drove the ancient starship and rushed to the outer realm. Something shocking must have happened in the outer realm. Lin Feng frowned slightly. He and Du Zhu didn't go to the outer realm. Instead, they checked out of their room, found a tea house, and ordered a pot of high-quality spiritual tea. They sipped the tea while waiting for news. It didn't take long for the shocking news to spread. An incomparably huge ancient city had appeared in the outer realm. The ancient city floated in the depths of the outer realm like a desolate beast, emitting a boundless pressure. Many people flew towards the huge ancient city. Could it be that ancient city? In the tea house, an old cultivator had an uncertain expression. Someone asked, "Senior, could it be that you know the origin of that ancient city?" The old cultivator's expression was grave as he said, "It's very likely to be that ancient city that appears once every 1,000,000 years. Chapter 1504. The ancient city was very mysterious, and very few cultivators had ever heard of it. Now that this old cultivator was talking about it, everyone's interest was piqued. Lin Feng said, "It only appears once every 1,000,000 years. If it's like this every time, wouldn't it be too evil?" The old cultivator smiled bitterly. "The ancient city itself is filled with evil." After a pause, the old cultivator continued, "Outside the ancient city, there are corpses of gods and demons nailed to the wall, as well as the heads of Buddhist monks. Hiss! Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. What had happened to this ancient starry sky city in the past?" The old cultivator said, The ancient city has a long history, far before the immemorial era or even the immortal era. However, no one knows when the ancient city appeared. Duzu said, "Rumor has it that several powerful beings are buried in the ancient city. Nuwa, Swirenshi, Xianyuan. I wonder if the rumor is true." The poison ancestor had clearly heard of some matters regarding the ancient city of Starry Sky, and the few people he mentioned left everyone shocked and moved. Nuwa was a sentient life form. She had lived for countless years before the creation of the world, and was also known as the mother of all living beings. According to the legends, Nuwa had created all living beings. Of course, whether or not this was true was not certain. After all, this was something that happened when the world was created, and it had been too long since then. However, since the legends said that there was no wind without waves, perhaps Nuwa had really created all living beings. Swirenshi was the ancestor of the human race, the Swerin sovereign of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. There was once a ballad that wrote this. We can't forget that Swirenshi drilled wood to make fire, bringing hope to the human race. We can't forget that Fushi fought a bloody battle to protect the human race, staining the heavens with his blood. We can't forget that Shunnong tasted all kinds of herbs to expel diseases for the human race, working his heart out. This was a ballad that praised the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. Swirenshi drilled wood to make fire, and from then on, the human race learned how to use fire. This was the first major change in the history of the human race. The human race began to learn how to use the power of nature. The legend of Nuwa creating all living things might just be a myth, but the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors were real. They were the ancestors of the human race. The Xianyuan clan that the poison ancestor spoke of was the Yellow Emperor of the 5 emperors. He was also one of the ancestors of the human race. In the past, the Yellow Emperor had joined forces with another great emperor of the human race, the Flame Emperor, to kill the demon ancestor Chiyu, allowing the human race to flourish. Or else, perhaps the human race had already been exterminated. Regardless of whether it was Nuwa, Swerin, or Xianyuan, all of them were renowned existences. But now, Duzu was saying that the ancient ship was rumored to have buried Nuwa, Swirenshi, and Xianyuan. This was too shocking and hard to believe. The old cultivator said, "Is there such a rumor? This old man has never heard of it." Duzu replied, "I came across it by chance in an ancient book. As for whether it's true or not, I don't know." Whether it was Duzu or the old cultivator, their knowledge of the ancient city was limited. Thus, they were unable to obtain much useful information from them. Let's go and take a look outside. Some cultivators stood up and decided to head to the ancient city. If it was as Duzu said, and the ancient city buried Nuwa, Swerin, and Xianyuan, then it would be too shocking. It could be said that this was earth-shattering news. Lin Feng and Duzu left as well. They paid the fee to stop the ship and drove it towards the starry sky. This was the only ancient ship they had left. They'd sold all the other ancient ships they had. Many cultivators boarded their ancient ships and flew towards the starry sky. Now that the ancient city had appeared, it caused a huge commotion. The cultivators in the surrounding star fields were all alarmed. Then, all sorts of rumors about the ancient city began to spread. Lin Feng and Duzu drove their ancient ship to the ancient city. The ancient city stretched for thousands of kilometers. Lin Feng had never seen such a huge city before. He really didn't know how it had been built. The ancient city floated in the boundless starry sky, surrounded by restrictions. Many cultivators stood in the void and watched. Lin Feng and Duzu flew out of the ancient ship. Lin Feng took out a glass bottle. This kind of glass bottle was a kind of treasure created by alchemists. It was used to store ancient void ships. When one wanted to use an ancient ship, one only needed to release the ancient ship. It was very convenient. Lin Feng put the bottle into his storage ring. He and Duzu stood outside the ancient city and watched. The restriction shrouded the ancient Starry Sky City, so the overall appearance of the ancient Starry Sky City wasn't very clear. Many people were patiently waiting for the restrictions to disperse. Many major factions arrived one after another. The Star Lord of Orchid Star, the three-eyed Golden Lion clan leader, and other experts arrived one after another. Rumbling sounds rang out. In the distance, a continent drifted over, causing the entire void world to tremble. However, when the continent drifted over, everyone realized that it wasn't a continent that floated in the starry sky. It was a giant starry sky beast. It was one of the largest starry sky beasts, and also the overlord of the starry sky. A giant starry sky beast could swallow an entire planet with a single gulp. It was abnormally terrifying. The giant starry sky beast turned into a middle-aged man and looked at the ancient city in the distance. Amitabha, excellent, excellent. A Buddhist chant came from the distance. Golden light shone brightly. A dozen monks walked over. The leader was an old monk. 10 rays of Buddhist light appeared behind the old monk. He was an enlightened monk. Only the eminent monks of Buddhism would have the light of Buddha behind their heads. The old monk in front of them had 10 rays of Buddhist light behind his head. This old monk was definitely extraordinary. He must have an extremely high status in Buddhism. Could he be from the Buddhist realm? It seems that only the great thunderclap temple of the Buddhist realm has such an enlightened monk. Duzu said, the Buddhist realm was one of the 7 highest realms of the 3,000 great realms. It had many experts and was extremely mysterious. Lin Feng had always been in awe of monks. Amateus, after the group of enlightened monks of Buddhism arrived, there were about 20 Taoist experts in the distance. The leader was an old Taoist with a sage-like demeanor. Boom! At that moment, the void suddenly collapsed. A palm-sized golden butterfly flew out. The golden butterfly exuded an ancient aura that resembled the primordial times. Many people found it hard to breathe because of the aura. They couldn't help but kowtow to the golden butterfly. Heavens! Is that the legendary Emperor Archaic? A cultivator said with a trembling voice. Chapter 1505. What kind of terrifying existence was the Emperor Archaic? His cultivation was heaven-defying, and a flap of his wings was enough to kill a great emperor. He was close to being a sentient life form. Over the long years, only a few Emperor Archaic had appeared. The Emperor Archaic and sentient life forms weren't from the same era. Perhaps the Emperor Archaic really had a way to contend against sentient life forms. Yet now, a primeval emperor butterfly had actually appeared here, and it was truly too shocking and moving. No, that's not the Emperor Archaic. It's the immemorial devil disc. A cultivator said aloud. He seemed to have recognized the species of the golden butterfly. Although it's completely golden, it's filled with demonic energy. Its appearance is very similar to the Emperor Archaic's. The immemorial devil disc is an exceptionally terrifying life form. It's said that if the immemorial devil disc's lifespan reaches 100 million years, it will complete an important transformation and reach the great emperor realm. The cultivator continued. For human cultivators or cultivators of other races, even giant gods would find it extremely difficult to live for 100 million years. However, for some races with longer lifespans, such as the sky demons, the immemorial devil disc race, or the black tortoise race, it was still possible for them to live 100 million years. If the immemorial devil disc reached 100 million years and completed its transformation, then the immemorial devil disc's life force would undergo a new transformation. Its body would glow with vitality, and its lifespan would be extended by a few 100 million years. Although it's not the Emperor archaic, this immemorial devil disc is terrifying enough. Said a cultivator. The cultivators around the immemorial devil disc hurriedly moved away from where they had been standing. They were probably worried that if they accidentally offended the immemorial devil disc, they would be attacked by it. Once my immemorial ancestor insect hatches, it won't be any weaker than the immemorial devil disc, right? Lin Feng couldn't help but stroke his chin. The immemorial ancestor insect's egg was in the process of hatching, and the life force of the builder tree's sapling was nourishing it. Lin Feng believed that sooner or later, the primordial ancestral insect would hatch successfully. Once the primordial ancestral insect successfully hatched, a heaven-defying existence would appear by Lin Feng's side. More and more experts were arriving. There were experts from various major forces, but there were also many overlords in the starry sky. For example, the astral behemoth and the primordial demonic disk were all overlords of the starry skies. Not long after, more and more powerful space overlords appeared, such as the nine-headed vicious Jiao dragon, the eight-winged god-devouring snake, and many others. Lin Feng also saw Hui Yihan and her fellow disciples. They must be from the fairy maiden Starfield. Many people looked at Hui Yihan and her senior and junior sisters. Someone pointed out their identities. The fairy maiden Starfield was a very powerful starfield in the starry sky world. This starfield was filled with experts. This starfield was truly famous because it was ruled by a power called the Celestial Maiden Sect. The Celestial Maiden Sect only recruited female disciples. In the fairy maiden starfield, the status of men was even lower than that of women. Many people were talking about the fairy maiden starfield. Lin Feng also heard a lot of news about the fairy maiden starfield. He couldn't help but mutter to himself, "No wonder that little girl Hui Yihan has such a fiery temper. It must have something to do with her high status in the fairy maiden starfield." Lin Feng's guess was not without reason. The status of women in the fairy maiden starfield was high, while the status of men was low. For example, Hui Yihan and her fellow disciples had extraordinary cultivation. They must have come from a major sect in the fairy maiden starfield. They might even be disciples of a supreme overlord, the fairy maiden sect. Such a status in the fairy maiden starfield was naturally a high and mighty existence. Once a person was in a high position, especially a young person, it was easy for them to become self-centered. The slightest dissatisfaction would cause their temper to explode. Many disciples of major clans and sects were like this. They were arrogant and had bad tempers. Hui Yihan seemed to have noticed Lin Feng. Her beautiful eyes were glaring fiercely at Lin Feng. She looked like she was gnashing her teeth. However, Lin Feng had something on Hui Yihan, so she did not dare to act rashly. 3 days later, the restriction that shrouded the ancient Starfield city gradually dissipated. When the starry sky ancient city's restrictions completely dissipated, everyone finally saw the huge ancient city. The city walls were 4,000 to 5,000 meters tall. The black city gates exuded a cold and eerie aura. Above the ancient Starfield city, space-time was distorted. It was obvious that flying was prohibited. If one tried to fly over the ancient Starfield city and land in the ancient Starfield city, they would probably die a horrible death. "Look, those corpses." Someone pointed at the huge and black city walls. Many corpses were hanging from the city walls. Many of the corpses had chains around their necks and were hung from the city walls. Why are there so many cultivators hanging? Lin Feng frowned slightly. This ancient Starfield city was too strange. There's a fiend god nailed to the city walls. Someone shouted from afar. Many people rushed over. It was an expert from the fiend god clan. He had 3 heads, 6 arms, and 18 pairs of wings. A war spear pierced through his chest and nailed him to the city walls. His blood flowed down the city walls. The blood of a fiend god would never dry up. The fiend god had been nailed to the city walls for an unknown number of years, but his blood still flowed as if it had just flowed out. It exuded the power of a fiend god. The fiend god clan is a special clan. They have the abilities of both the divine clan and the fiend god clan. They should be one of the oldest and strongest clans. Cultivators from the fiend god clan are rare, even in the primordial era. However, once they appear, they will definitely have heaven-defying strength. A cultivator said, "The death of such a powerful expert from the godly demon clan caused a huge commotion among the crowd. Amit Ba, excellent, excellent." In the distance, a monk stepped forward and walked towards the ancient Starfield city. He was also an enlightened monk. There were 5 rays of Buddhist light behind his head. This monk is exceptionally terrifying. He's definitely surpassed the divine flame realm or even the true god realm, Duzu said. Lin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. Could he be a heavenly god? What terrifying strength. I think these monks are also space travelers. In the Buddhist world, some of the enlightened monks would enter the Starfield world in order to comprehend the Tao. They would then travel to every corner of the Starfield to comprehend their Tao. Duzu said. Lin Feng stroked his chin and sighed. Buddhism has always been terrifying. Lin Feng looked towards the old monk. The old monk walked step by step towards the head of a monk that was hung on the city walls. He wants to take that senior monk's head. Lin Feng frowned. This ancient Starfield city was very strange. It wouldn't be easy to take the head of a monk that was hung on the city walls. Chapter 15:06. It was the head of an ancient Buddha. It had been dead for an unknown number of years, but it was still shrouded in Buddhist light. If one listened carefully, one could hear the chanting of Buddhist scriptures coming from the head. The ancient Buddha had died a tragic death. A sharp arrow had pierced through his eye and pierced through his head. This should have been the ancient Buddha's fatal wound. A chain wrapped around the ancient Buddha's head, and the arrow hanging the ancient Buddha's head in midair. Only the head is left. Even the body is gone. What a tragic death. Lin Feng could not help but sigh. Perhaps the old monk wanted to take the head of the Buddhist ancestor because he wanted to give him a proper burial. The dead should be buried in peace. This was a saying that had been passed down in the world of cultivators for a very long time. Many cultivators believed that only by being buried in the earth would one have a chance to reincarnate. Of course, there were also many cultivators who believed in burial at sea. Some cultivators in the Starry Sky world believed in burial in the Starry Sky. The people who died here were all extraordinary. That ancient Buddha's identity was even more extraordinary. Duzu said. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He asked, "How did you determine that?" The corpse, the poison ancestor said, that ancient Buddha's lower body was severed, which is very different from the others. Even that expert from the god-demon clan didn't have his lower body severed. This is enough to explain many things. Lin Feng stroked his chin. He suddenly thought of Xing Tian, the god of war. His head had been severed, but his body was still alive. Lin Feng asked, "Are you saying that this ancient Buddha might have had the same ability as Xing Tian? His body could still be alive even after his head was severed?" Duzu nodded. That might be the case. That's why the other party destroyed the ancient Buddha's body. Lin Feng frowned. We have no way of knowing if that's the case. This ancient city is too strange. Who knows how much history it has buried? At this time, the old monk was already close to the ancient city. He walked towards the ancient Buddha's head step by step. When he reached the head, the old monk put his palms together and chanted a sutra to release the souls of the dead. He wanted to release the souls of the dead Buddhist ancestors. Then, the old monk stretched out his hand, wanting to pluck off the ancient Buddha's head. Suddenly, a terrifying aura surged out from the ancient city and enveloped the old monk. Boundless killing intent filled the air as the old monk was forced to retreat. Puff! The old monk spat out a mouthful of blood. What a strange ancient city! Many people sighed. The ancient starry sky city was indeed too strange and terrifying. However, that aura was truly terrifying. Thus, it was best for the old monk to take the initiative to retreat. However, the old monk did not choose to retreat. He was forced back and once again walked towards the head of the ancient Buddha. Too stubborn. Many people shook their heads. They felt that there was no need for the old monk to risk his life for the head of a dead ancient Buddha. The old monk approached the head of the ancient Buddha step by step. The aura in the air was getting more and more terrifying. The old monk spat out mouthfuls of blood, and his face turned pale. Many people revealed horrified expressions. The old monk's strength was tyrannical, but he was still forced to spit out blood. Just how powerful was the pressure that permeated the void? Amitabha. In the distance, the group of monks put their palms together and chanted Buddhist scriptures. They seemed to be praying for the old monk who had gone to pluck off the ancient Buddha's head. Even though the old monk was heavily injured, he did not retreat. His willpower was really strong. Said Lin Feng. Buddhist monks are indeed admirable, said Lin Feng. Du Zhu said, these people have a kind of obsession. This obsession is actually very terrifying. For the sake of this obsession, they might not even care about their own lives. They are no different from madmen. Lin Feng said, but in the eyes of Buddhist cultivators, the obsession you speak of is the faith in their hearts. Du Zhu said, perhaps this is the reason why the Buddhist world has never declined. The old monk approached the ancient Buddha's head once again. However, this time, the old monk seemed to be under even more pressure than the first time. His body had cracked, and fresh blood flowed out. At that moment, the ancient monk with the 10 Buddhist lights behind his head said, Amitabha, good, good. Junior brother Ji Wu, do your best, and leave the rest to the heavens. This matter cannot be forced, so you should quickly retreat. The old monk said, Senior brother, how can I let the ancestors' head hang here without doing anything? I'm willing to risk my life to let the ancestors' head rest in peace. The old monk called Ji Wu clearly had no intention of retreating. He stretched out his hand to grab the ancient Buddha's head. However, something terrifying happened. An unimaginably terrifying aura spread out and enveloped the old monk. Crack, crack, the sound of cracking could be heard. The old monk's body, like porcelain, it quickly cracked. In the blink of an eye, dense cracks appeared on the old monk's body. Bang! Soon after, the old monk's body collapsed. His body has collapsed. This old monk has died a tragic death. Countless people were shocked. The old monk was so powerful that he was very likely in existence on the level of a heavenly god. He had died just like that. There were too many people who were aghast. This ancient city is too terrifying. The corpses hanging in the ancient city and the corpses nailed to the city walls can't be touched. I originally wanted to pull out the spear that nailed the fiend god to death. Fortunately, I didn't do it. This ancient city is strange. Maybe it's cursed. Many people began to talk at once. Have a safe journey, Lin Feng muttered to himself. He admired the old monk. The old monk's death made it difficult for Lin Feng to calm down. Many people cursed Buddhists for being sanctimonious. Perhaps there were indeed many sanctimonious people in Buddhism. However, There were also people who were worthy of respect, just like the old monk who was an eminent Buddhist monk. Amitabha, the other monks chanted Buddhist scriptures to release the old monk from his death. Rumble. 2 hours later, the huge black stone door that was more than 3,000 meters tall let out an earth-shaking sound. The door is about to open. Many people cried out excitedly. What secrets are hidden in this ancient city? Are Niuhua, Swearin, and Xianyuan really buried here? Lin Feng muttered to himself as he gazed at the ancient city. There were too many secrets in this ancient city. Perhaps he would be able to uncover some of them now that it was opened. Or perhaps he would be able to find the burial grounds of Niuhua, Swearin, and Xianyuan. Lin Feng's heart was heavy. Niuhua was the mother of all living things. Regardless of whether or not Niuhua had created all living things, it was an indisputable fact that she had mended the heavens and saved all living things. As for Swearin and Xianyuan, they were the ancestors of the human race. Niuhua had died in a great battle between sentient life forms. How did the ancestors of the human race, Swearenshi and Xianyuan, die? If Niuhua, Swearin, and Xianyuan had really died in this ancient city, then what terrifying thing had happened in this ancient city back then? It was actually able to bury a sentient life form and 2 ancestors of the human race. Chapter 1507. Rumble. Following the earth-shattering sound, the enormous city gates finally opened. Many people soared into the sky and flew towards the city. "Let's go," said Lin Feng as he flew towards the city with Du Zhu. Suddenly, Lin Feng sensed an ice-cold, deadly energy. He gazed into the distance and saw a member of the three-eyed Golden Lion clan looking at him coldly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He hadn't concealed it at all. Xian Daoyuan and the little Lion King were among the three-eyed Golden Lions. This time, the three-eyed Golden Lions had brought many strong cultivators. They didn't attack immediately. Instead, they looked deeply at Lin Feng before entering the city. "They won't let this matter rest. There will be a battle," said Du Zhu. Lin Feng nodded. "It's fine. We don't need to worry about anything." After that, Lin Feng and Du Zhu entered the city. This ancient city was simply too huge. A single street was 4 to 5 li wide, and the entire city was 5 to 6,000 li wide. It was so huge that it was hard to believe. Look at the sword marks on the ground. There's even blood. Many people pointed at the ground as they entered the city. The sword marks were too obvious. The ground was also covered in dried blood. Who knew how much blood had been lost in the past? There must have been an unimaginable battle in the city. Those corpses outside might have something to do with it, said someone. Everyone agreed. Many people agreed with this statement. Everyone flew deeper into the forest, one after another. Some people entered the shops on both sides of the street to look for things. There are so many things that haven't been touched. We're rich. Some people found some treasures and shouted excitedly. But very soon, a bitter battle broke out. Cultivators killed each other for the sake of obtaining treasures. The battle was incomparably intense. This kind of scene was playing out in many corners of the ancient city. Lin Feng and Du Zhu flew deeper into the city. They saw a statue and stopped. It was a statue of a woman. The woman's body was surrounded by a holy light. She held 2 things in her hands. The first was a scroll, and the second was a jade bottle. Inside the jade bottle was golden soil. "Is that a statue of Niuhua?" an old cultivator exclaimed in shock. Lin Feng nodded. "It should be a statue of Niuhua. Niuhua is holding the legendary stately painting and living soil of the 9 heavens, right? The stately painting contained heaven and earth. It could nourish celestials and give birth to all things. It was said that the stately painting was a map of heaven and earth before the creation of heaven and earth. Many secrets and treasures were recorded on the map. After the creation of heaven and earth, the stately painting took the initiative to evolve the forms of the myriad worlds. The evolution of the 3 realms and 6 paths was based on the stately painting's evolution. The painting of mountains and rivers of the gods of earth and vale contained the boundless spiritual chi of the universe. Mountains, rivers, stars, flowers, plants, birds, beasts, mountains, rivers, and earth veins. The spiritual chi in the spiritual treasure gave birth to billions of living beings and was in between life and death. It was as if there was a real small world of earth and vale in the painting. If a connate life form entered the painting without a supreme treasure, they would be trapped for life. Even if they had a supreme treasure, they would be severely injured and have to flee. From this, one could see that the stately painting not only recorded countless treasures of the connate world, but also possessed heaven-defying combat strength. It could even trap a connate life form to death. It was a supreme grade connate spiritual treasure, one of the 10 great connate spiritual treasures, along with Nuwa's other supreme treasure, the red embroidered sphere. As for the soil in the other jade bottle, its origin was also extremely extraordinary. A handful of soil showed a strange golden color, a yellow light that seemed like gold but not gold spread out. It was a yellow cloud that was a few acres in size. It guarded the target and prevented the opponent from moving forward. When attacking the yellow cloud, it was like encountering a cotton bag. It was impossible to do anything. During the creation of heaven and earth, Goddess Nuwa had bestowed the human emperor to restrain the calamity after Gongong's death. It was said that the living soil of the 9 heaven was the ancestral source of earth and a sacred item of the human race. Even the immortal slaying sword couldn't do anything to it. It grew with the wind and had endless magical changes. The yellow cloud expanded and changed like the enemy. It was tough and dense. It grew and grew according to the attacks of the outside world. It was invulnerable. Both the stately painting and the living soil of the 9 heaven were connate's supreme treasures, one of the 2 treasures in Nuwa's treasury. Who created such a statue of Nuwa and polished the stately painting and the living soil of the 9 heaven? Someone muttered to himself, puzzled. Nuwa's statue didn't hold the real stately painting and the living soil of the 9 heaven. It was just a carving. The real stately painting and the living soil of the 9 heaven had disappeared when Nuwa died. It's said that Nuwa was buried in this city. Whether or not this rumor is true is debatable, but one thing is certain. This ancient city should be related to Nuwa, right? Everyone nodded. A statue of Nuwa had appeared in the ancient city, so it should be closely related to Nuwa. Many people left one after another to continue searching for treasures. There were also some who hoped to find Nuwa's inheritance in the ancient city. If there was such an opportunity, it would be heaven-defying. If they could find the stately painting, 18 generations of their ancestors would be burning incense. Lin Feng and Du Zhu left as well. Finding treasures was secondary. Lin Feng was actually more interested in exploring the ancient city's secrets. Was the great Nuwa really buried here? Did Sui Renshi and Xianyuan shed their blood in this ancient city? Lin Feng had many doubts in his heart. He and Du Zhu continued to head deeper into the city. However, when the sky darkened, a loud clanging sound was heard. Everyone was alarmed. They didn't understand what was going on. Let's go out and take a look. Many cultivators shouted and rushed toward the city gate. Lin Feng and Du Zhu were no exception. They arrived at the city gate with many others. When they arrived, they discovered something. The door that was originally open was now closed. What's going on? Why is the gate closed? Many people tried to push the huge black door open. However, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't push the gate open. We won't be trapped here, right? Many people's faces turned pale. Some people tried to fly out from the sky, but there was a distorted space-time in the sky. Some people were still hoping for a fluke and tried to pass through the distorted space-time. However, as soon as they were swept by the distorted space-time, they were reduced to a bloody mist. Their bodies and souls were destroyed, and they died miserably. Chapter 15:08. We can't get out. The space-time distortion above is too strong. We're trapped here. Many people's faces were pale, and they found it hard to accept. They didn't want to die here, but they had no way of leaving. Panic and anxiety spread. There were also people who were more optimistic. An ancient city that appears once every 1,000,000 years must have many secrets hidden. What is everyone worried about? We just need to look for opportunities. I believe that when we've found enough opportunities, the city gates will open again. This was a cultivator who was more optimistic. Everyone had different experiences, different psychological endurance, and different personalities. Thus, this caused everyone to have different emotions when faced with the same situation. Lin Feng and Du Zhu walked away silently, as there was no point in being anxious. They could only wait quietly for the city gates to open. Lin Feng also believed that the city gates would open again. Normally, ancient cities, ancient cultivators' caves, secret realms, and so on that would appear once every few years would not be dead in the absolute sense. There would definitely be a way out for everyone. Humph! A light snort of anger was heard. Lin Feng looked over and saw that it was Hua Yihan, the hot-tempered girl. Her beautiful eyes were fiercely glaring at him. Lin Feng guessed that this girl wanted to cut him into pieces at this moment. However, with her weakness in his hands, she didn't dare to act rashly. Lin Feng directly ignored Hua Yihan and left with Du Zhu. The female cultivator in the white palace dress asked, "Junior Sister Yihan, could it be that you had some other dispute with that person?" This female cultivator was meticulous and saw some clues. Hua Yihan naturally didn't dare to say that her undergarments had been taken away by Lin Feng. There was no way she could say such a thing, as it would only make things worse. Hua Yihan said, "Senior sister, I just don't like that guy. That person is not simple. I received news that a few days ago he beat the three-eyed Golden Lion clan's Little Lion King half to death. He also extorted a lot of precious divine array materials from the three-eyed Golden Lion clan. This person is obviously lawless. Don't provoke him, or you'll be at a disadvantage." The female cultivator in the white palace dress said. Hearing these words, Hua Yihan felt an extremely stimulating feeling in his heart. The three-eyed Golden Lion clan was one of the 5 great powers of the Chaos Star Divine Realm, and he actually dared to beat the clan's young master half to death in their territory. His guts weren't ordinary. If Lin Feng hadn't taken away her undergarments, Hua Yihan felt that she would rather admire Lin Feng. However, because Lin Feng had taken away her undergarments, Hua Yihan began to curse Lin Feng. Not only was he a pervert, but he was also an arrogant troublemaker. After cursing Lin Feng in her heart, Hua Yihan felt much better. Lin Feng and Du Zhu went deep into the ancient city. They had been to many places, but they didn't find anything particularly important. Late at night, gusts of cold wind suddenly swept through the ancient city. The cold wind blew. Lin Feng immediately felt his hair stand on end, and goosebumps appeared all over his body. Will something sinister happen in this ancient city? Lin Feng frowned slightly. After a pause, Lin Feng said, "Du Zhu, you are very experienced and knowledgeable. Don't you feel that this ancient city is like a cage?" Du Zhu didn't say anything. Lin Feng turned to look at Du Zhu and saw that Du Zhu had his head lowered. It was unknown what he was thinking. Lin Feng patted Duzu's shoulder and asked, "What are you thinking about?" Who would have thought that at that moment, the poison ancestor's right hand moved as fast as lightning. His fingers were like swords as they moved towards Lin Feng's chest. He wanted to pierce through Lin Feng's chest. This attack was too sudden. It was so fast that Lin Feng couldn't dodge it in time. "You're not Duzu." Lin Feng shouted angrily. "Jiji Jaiji." The mysterious existence laughed strangely. Just as the attack was about to pierce through Lin Feng's chest, Lin Feng used the heaven patchwork technique to escape from death. He then condensed the 9 slashes of the Devil Emperor and transformed into a beam of killing light that slashed at the person impersonating Duzu. Whoosh! The mysterious existence was too fast. He dodged Lin Feng's attack. Then he turned into a pitch-black blur and charged forward. "Where do you think you're going?" Lin Feng shouted coldly and chased after him. The pitch-black figure occasionally laughed strangely. He was so fast that Lin Feng couldn't catch up to him. He disappeared without a trace after turning a corner. Lin Feng's expression was gloomy. Everything that had happened before his eyes was too strange. An extremely uneasy feeling arose in his heart. Duzu had disappeared without a trace. Where had he gone? Then what exactly was the thing that pretended to be Duzu and ambushed him? Everything was a mystery that no one could guess. There are really a lot of secrets hidden in this ancient city. Lin Feng rubbed his chin. He walked alone into the depths of the city. A cold wind blew. This road seemed to lead him to the underworld. Ah! Mournful screams came from afar. Someone had suffered a calamity. Lin Feng quickly ran over. By the time he arrived, there were already hundreds of cultivators gathered on the street. They were all nearby cultivators who heard the screams and immediately rushed over. "What happened?" Lin Feng asked. "Someone. All that's left is a piece of human skin," a cultivator said. Lin Feng squeezed into the crowd and saw a pool of blood on the ground. Beside the blood was a piece of human skin. When Lin Feng saw the human skin, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. How could this be? Why would there be human skin here? This wasn't the first time Lin Feng had seen human skin. Back in the Tianwu continent, where demons were sealed, there was a strange creature that devoured people's flesh and soul, leaving only human skin behind. Later, that strange creature even devoured the flesh and soul of Great Ming's Great Hell's Devil King, leaving only human skin behind. And now, it was the same situation again. Lin Feng was extremely puzzled. What kind of thing could devour other people's flesh and soul and leave only human skin behind? Human skin. "Look, there's another human skin," a cultivator behind him shouted in fear. Everyone turned around and saw that the cultivators at the outermost perimeter were now human skins. The cultivator who had shouted in fear turned into a human skin in the next moment. "Hurry up and run." The surrounding cultivators were already scared out of their wits. They quickly ran away. Lin Feng also ran away like crazy. However, he felt a gloomy chi chasing after him. He looked back, but he couldn't see anything. This made Lin Feng's hair stand on end. "He's chasing after me. It must be him. That unknown and mysterious existence is chasing after me." Lin Feng's face was pale. "The curse of the ages." Lin Feng vaguely heard a voice. It was hoarse and unpleasant to the ear, as if a malicious spirit was speaking to him. Chapter 15:09. The voice was so terrifying that Lin Feng felt like he had fallen into a bottomless abyss. An eternal curse. At this moment, he thought of many things. Could it be the curse of the celestial master lineage? This powerful cursed lineage. Lin Feng didn't know much about the celestial master lineage. The descendants of the celestial master lineage couldn't meet in pairs. Otherwise, they would lose themselves and turn into netherworld soldiers. This was the first curse Lin Feng knew about. As for whether there were other curses, Lin Feng didn't know. No one can avoid the curse that has existed since the beginning of time. That voice once again resounded in his ears. This made Lin Feng feel extremely uneasy. He felt like he was about to be cursed like the ancestors of the celestial master lineage. Lin Feng suddenly felt very cold. His head felt very heavy, and his consciousness seemed to be gradually blurring. This is the curse. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. It was truly terrifying. He couldn't resist it. It was no wonder that even the powerful ancestors of the celestial master lineage couldn't resist the power of the curse. In this world, the strangest thing was probably the power of all kinds of curses. They were terrifying, despairing, and irresistible. How many geniuses and peerless experts had been harmed by the power of the curse. Lin Feng wanted to resist, but his resistance was useless in the face of this eternal curse. Just as Lin Feng was about to sink into endless darkness, suddenly Lin Feng felt like someone had kicked him. "Pervert, what are you doing here?" "Huh, why aren't you moving? You're not possessed, are you? You're going to fall into my hands." Lin Feng vaguely heard a familiar voice. Then he felt someone kick him to the ground. With a bang, his head hit the ground. Ouch! Lin Feng cried out in pain. He was pulled back to reality. Then Lin Feng saw Hua Yihan with her hands on her hips. Did she accidentally pull me back to the real world? Lin Feng couldn't help but think of how grateful he was to Hua Yihan. He jumped up from the ground and hugged Hua Yihan in his arms before Hua Yihan could come back to her senses. He kissed and touched her excitedly. "Stinking pervert." Hua Yihan hurriedly pushed Lin Feng away, her face flushed red. In her eyes, Lin Feng was taking advantage of her on purpose. Lin Feng awkwardly rubbed his nose and said, "Ahem, I was too happy to see you. I was too excited and couldn't control myself." "Bah!" Hua Yihan spat at Lin Feng and said fiercely, "Where's that bastard guard of yours?" Lin Feng said, "He got separated from me. It was very strange at the time. We were walking together, but he disappeared without a trace." "That's strange." Hua Yihan frowned slightly. Lin Feng asked, "What about your fellow disciples?" Hua Yihan sighed and said, "At that time, we entered a house. After we entered, I appeared on this street." Lin Feng said, "This ancient city is much more sinister than we imagined. Since your cultivation is relatively weak, I decided to do you a favor and let you stay by my side. I don't want you to die here for no reason." "Shameless bastard, do you think you're so strong?" Hua Yihan scolded. "You're treating my kindness as malice? Then let's go our separate ways." Lin Feng waved his hand and walked into the distance. Hua Yihan followed him. She naturally knew that Lin Feng's cultivation was very strong. Otherwise, how could he have beaten the little Lion King half to death? Staying by Lin Feng's side was indeed much safer. "Didn't you say that you didn't want to stay by my side?" Lin Feng smiled at Hua Yihan. Hua Yihan snorted, "I didn't say that." She then glared fiercely at Lin Feng and asked, "What's your name?" "Lin Feng." "My name is Hua Yihan." "I know. How did you know, you scoundrel? Are you secretly trying to find out about me? Are you plotting something against me? Have you forgotten that senior sister of yours called you by your name before? I was right next to you, so I know what's so strange about your name. I didn't really believe it when I heard the saying, 'Big breasts are brainless,' but now I really do. Who are you calling a big breasts brainless? I was wrong. You have big breasts and brains, okay? That's more like it." However, Hua Yihan suddenly felt that the saying big breasts and brains was not a big deal. She immediately kicked Lin Feng again. You scoundrel! You only know how to take advantage of me. Lin Feng was speechless. How did I take advantage of you? If you dare to touch me again, I'll pull you into a small house and strip you naked. I'll turn you from a young girl into a married woman. Hua Yihan was so scared that her face turned pale. She simply stopped talking. Lin Feng and Hua Yihan met another group of cultivators. There were about 100 of them. Everyone headed inside to explore the ancient city. Not long after, they saw a plaza. Because the ancient city was so huge, many plazas had been built. Many of the plazas were probably used for trading in the past. They were also the central area of the market. However, they were all empty now. The Plaza Lin Feng and the others arrived. It was shrouded in rolling black fog, so visibility was quite low. There was a thick smell of blood in the air. A gloomy and cold aura pervaded the square, causing people to shudder in fear. Look, there are so many bloodstains on the ground. The yin qi here is so heavy. Many people must have died here in the past, right? A cultivator said. Tap, tap, tap. Suddenly, Lin Feng heard the sound of footsteps coming towards him. He asked, Did you hear strange footsteps? What strange footsteps? I didn't hear anything. Brother, don't talk nonsense. In this damn place, you can scare people to death. A cultivator's voice trembled as he spoke. Could there really be something unclean here? Hua Yihan looked at Lin Feng and asked. She moved closer to Lin Feng, thinking that it would be safer this way. Lin Feng replied, I'm not talking nonsense. Listen carefully. There are uniform footsteps. Tap, tap, tap. The footsteps sounded again. This time, Lin Feng wasn't the only one who heard them. Many cultivators heard them as well. Everyone's face turned pale, with fright. Where did these footsteps come from? Look, over there. Suddenly, someone pointed towards the depths of the plaza. A group of armored soldiers with spears in their hands were walking through the black fog in the square. Their footsteps were uniform. Heavens, wasn't this ancient city deserted a long time ago? Why is there a group of soldiers here? Many people turned pale when they saw the sudden appearance of the soldiers. Chapter 15:10. The scene in front of them was too strange. How could such a group of soldiers appear in the cosmic ancient city, which had long been a ghost town? It was too strange. Hurry up and hide, said Lin Feng. He had the feeling something wasn't right. He quickly ran into the distance and hid in a corner of the street. There was a house there, so he could hide in there. The others also ran away and hid. The group of soldiers didn't seem to notice them. They walked in another direction and soon disappeared from the plaza. Did you notice? Don't those soldiers look like they're patrolling? Someone voiced out their thoughts. Many people nodded because they had the same feeling. Lin Feng rubbed his chin and said, Why do I feel like those soldiers aren't living people? They look like ghost soldiers. Hiss. The sound of people sucking in cold breaths could be heard. Ghost soldiers were one of the Netherworld's army types. They were one of the Netherworld's 2 great armies. If they were really ghost soldiers, wouldn't that be too strange? Shouldn't ghost soldiers be in the Netherworld? Why were they in the cosmic ancient city? What are ghost soldiers from the Netherworld? Are they ghosts? Asked a cultivator. This was also a question that many people were curious about. What exactly were ghost soldiers? It was rumored that the Netherworld was a place where the dead went. For example, the 18 layers of hell, the Bridge of Helplessness, the Hall of Hell, and other places were all located in the Netherworld. In many people's opinion, if the Netherworld was a place where the dead went, then ghost soldiers should be like ghosts, right? Lin Feng said, Perhaps only people in the Netherworld know what ghost soldiers are. They're too mysterious. However, I've seen ghost soldiers before, so I have some understanding of their auras. I felt that the soldiers' auras were somewhat similar to ghost soldiers. What Ihan whispered. I've heard that the netherworld is one of the 3 highest realms, which is above the 3 highest realms. The 3 highest realms might form a passage with some special places in the world. Do you think there's a passage in the cosmic ancient city that connects to the netherworld? Many people's expressions became uncertain because they felt that Hui Ihan's words were indeed possible. However, if what Hui Ihan said was true, and there was a passageway that connected the ancient city to the underworld, then, in that case, wouldn't the beings of the underworld continuously enter the ancient star city? If those underworld beings discovered the cultivators who had entered the ancient city, would they attack them? Lin Feng said, "Looks like we need to be careful and avoid these netherworld creatures as much as possible. Otherwise, we might really suffer a calamity." Everyone felt that this made sense. The creatures of the underworld were too strange, and no one was willing to come into contact with them. They walked along a street. At that moment, Lin Feng and the others noticed that there were more and more underworld creatures in the ancient city. In addition to the Yin soldiers, Lin Feng and the others also saw some black-robed creatures. He wondered what those black-robed creatures were. However, the aura emitted from these creatures was extremely sinister and terrifying, causing people to shudder. Those creatures were absolutely terrifying. Suddenly, another scream was heard, and it alarmed Lin Feng and the others. They rushed in the direction of the scream. Then, they saw dozens of Yin soldiers fighting against a group of cultivators. The Yin soldiers were abnormally strong. When the cultivators' attacks landed on the Yin soldiers, they couldn't even cause any damage. However, when the Yin soldiers' attacks landed on the cultivators, many of them died tragically. Then, a terrifying scene appeared. When the cultivators died, their blood and corpses were absorbed into the ancient city. It was as if the ancient city had swallowed them. Damn, what's going on? Lin Feng's expression changed when he saw this. Lin Feng wasn't the only one whose expression changed. Everyone's expression changed again and again, because it was really too strange. Run! Many cultivators cried out in fear, wanting to escape. However, the Yin soldiers were too strong, and they didn't let a single cultivator escape. All the cultivators were killed by the group of Yin soldiers. Don't make a sound, or you'll be discovered. Lin Feng whispered. The others nodded. Right now, no one dared to make a sound or leave, because once they made a sound or left, they might be discovered by the Yin soldiers. If they were really discovered, it would be a terrible disaster. The group of Yin soldiers left. Lin Feng and the others heaved a sigh of relief. However, dozens of strange black-robed existences flew over from afar. Keek-keek. The black-robed monsters let out a sinister sound, like the screams of malicious spirits. It was hoarse and unpleasant to the ears, and it made people feel cold all over. The black-robed monsters attacked Lin Feng and the others. The two sides collided. One of the black-robed monsters attacked Lin Feng. A pale white hand reached out from the black robe. Lin Feng collided with it, and the black-robed monster was sent flying. Then, he used the 9 slashes of the Demon Emperor on the black-robed monster. The black robe was torn, but a strange scene happened. There was nothing in the black robe. However, a pale white hand had clearly reached out from the black robe. Lin Feng felt his hair stand on end when such a strange thing could happen. What was even more terrifying was that the black robe that Lin Feng had torn instantly recovered. The black robe flew over, and a pale white hand reached out from the black robe. The pale white hand was like a sharp sword, and it was as fast as lightning, stabbing towards Lin Feng's chest. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly when he saw this. The black-robed monster was too fast. However, Lin Feng was not to be underestimated. In this dangerous moment, his body moved to the left, dodging the black-robed monster's attack, and then he kicked the black-robed monster away. The other cultivators were not as lucky as Lin Feng. Many of them were killed by the black-robed monsters. Their deaths could be said to be extremely tragic. A black-robed monster attacked Hua Yihan, and its sharp claws scratched towards her heart. The claws were like the claws of a wolf. These black-robed monsters were very strange. Some of the things that reached out from the black robes were beast claws, and some were human hands. Hua Yihan was unable to dodge this attack. She was so scared that her face turned pale, and her face was filled with despair. Bang! Lin Feng rushed over and sent the black-robed monster flying with a punch. Then he grabbed Hua Yihan's slender waist and quickly rushed into the distance. These black-robed monsters seemed to be able to regenerate continuously. There was no way to fight them. If they stayed, they might die. Lin Feng was naturally aware of this, so he did not hesitate and fled with Hua Yihan. As for the others, Lin Feng did not care so much. He could not even protect himself now. So how could he care about the life and death of a group of strangers? Chapter 15:11. Lin Feng ran through a dozen streets at full speed and found a safe place. He then stopped and looked for a safe place. "Are you all right?" Lin Feng looked at Hua Yihan and asked. Hua Yihan shook her head and said, "Thank you for saving me. It's just a small matter. Don't cry and shout about marrying me. I won't fall for that." Lin Feng said indifferently. Hua Yihan coldly snorted. "Who wants to repay you with their bodies? Keep daydreaming." Lin Feng sighed and said, "That's good." Seeing Lin Feng like this, Hua Yihan was furious. No matter what, she was still a top-grade beauty, right? Which man wouldn't be infatuated with her when they saw her? But this guy, from his tone, it seemed like he despised her. When she thought of this, Hua Yihan had the urge to slap Lin Feng to death. The unhappy Hua Yihan sat down on the ground in a very unladylike manner. Lin Feng sat beside Hua Yihan. Hua Yihan glared at Lin Feng and said unhappily, "Stay away from me. Just looking at you makes me annoyed." Lin Feng said, "I'm protecting you. If some terrifying ghost soldiers or monsters from the underworld appear, and you get hurt, my heart will ache." Hua Yihan snorted. "Someone's heart will ache? Are you slapping yourself in the face?" Lin Feng said, "Even if I'm not your lover, I'm still your friend. It shouldn't be a problem for you to feel sorry for your friend, right?" Hua Yihan rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and didn't say anything else. The girl was obviously tired. After a short time, she fell asleep on Lin Feng's back. Lin Feng found an old residence to rest. Outside, it was not calm at all. Because of the appearance of the Yin soldiers and underworld creatures, many battles broke out in many places, and many cultivators died miserably. "I wonder where Du Zhu has run off to. That guy isn't dead, is he?" Lin Feng muttered in his heart. Du Zhu's disappearance was too strange. Lin Feng still didn't understand how Du Zhu disappeared. He also did not know who the guy who pretended to be Du Zhu was. Finally, the sky gradually brightened. The darkness dispersed, and sunlight shone on the ancient city. Hua Yihan woke up to find herself sleeping in Lin Feng's embrace. This place was obviously not the street outside. It seemed to be a room. Did this guy carry her in? Hua Yihan suddenly felt that Lin Feng was much more pleasing to the eye. Hua Yihan carefully looked at Lin Feng's face. She couldn't help but mutter in her heart, "If I look closely, this guy is actually quite good-looking." At this time, Lin Feng opened his eyes. "Hua Yihan, who was originally staring at Lin Feng's face, quickly shifted her gaze away. Her beautiful face could not help but blush slightly, as if she was worried that Lin Feng would discover her little secret. "Your face is so red. Tell me, do you have some dirty thoughts about me?" Lin Feng grinned. Hua Yihan was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She immediately shrieked, "Who has dirty thoughts? In any case, I didn't. Don't slander me and talk nonsense." The little girl didn't dare to stay any longer. She quickly ran out like a wisp of smoke. Seeing Hua Yihan run out shyly and angrily, Lin Feng's lips curled into a smile. Teasing this little girl, Hua Yihan, was actually quite an interesting thing. Lin Feng stood up and went outside the room. This was an old residence. The courtyard was not particularly big, but the overall structure was very beautiful. There was a rockery in the courtyard. Next to the rockery was a pond. Even now, there was even a fountain in the pond. Hua Yihan was standing in the courtyard, sizing up the old residence. Lin Feng asked, "What are you looking at?" "The feng shui of this old residence is very unusual," Hua Yihan said. Lin Feng was surprised. "You know feng shui?" "Of course." Hua Yihan was as proud as a white peacock. She raised her arrogant head and said, "Our fairy sect has a feng shui master. This senior's name is famous in the starry sky world, and this young lady was fortunate enough to learn feng shui from this master for a long time. Naturally, I can analyze feng shui, look at the terrain, and find dragon veins." Lin Feng smiled and said, "I didn't expect you to be so capable. Now, I suddenly feel like I like you a little." Hua Yihan coldly snorted and said, "Who cares if you like me?" Lin Feng smiled and did not continue on this topic. Instead, he said, "What mysteries do you see in this old residence? The 3 gates are opposite, and the middle gate is wide open. There is water in the courtyard, and beside the water is a mountain." Hua Yihan was walking in the courtyard. "This is the suppression," Lin Feng said. "You know feng shui too?" Hua Yihan looked at Lin Feng in shock. Lin Feng said, "I have a deep understanding of formations, but I don't know much about feng shui. However, formations are more or less related to feng shui." After pausing for a moment, Lin Feng continued, "I used some of the mysteries recorded in the formation to judge this courtyard. The 3 gates are opposite, and the middle gate is wide open, which is evil. There is water in the courtyard, which is auspicious. There is a mountain beside the water, which is a support. However, when it fuses with the entire courtyard, it is suppression. Thus, the ordinary ghost soldiers of the netherworld are very afraid of this place and won't easily enter. This is also why I hugged you to rest here last night after you fell asleep." Humph! When she heard that Lin Feng had carried her in, Hua Yihan immediately snorted twice. She felt a little shy, but also a little happy. Lin Feng continued, "Actually, I discovered that the feng shui of many old mansions isn't simple. However, my knowledge of feng shui is limited. So even though I know that some old mansions aren't simple, I can't understand their secrets." Hua Yihan asked, "What do you think is the secret of this old mansion?" "There is water in the courtyard, and there is a mountain beside the water. This mountain suppresses the courtyard, so I think that there might be something in this pond," Lin Feng said. Hua Yihan nodded and said, "I think it's very likely that it's inside. It seems like you're quite capable." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Could it be that you want to fish out the thing inside?" Hua Yihan immediately nodded and said, "Don't you want to see what's inside?" Lin Feng said, "Since it's something that's been suppressed here, it definitely isn't simple. If we fish it out, we might get ourselves into trouble." Hua Yihan pursed her lips and said, "So you're not going to fish it out?" Lin Feng said, "Who said I'm not going to fish it out? Even if it's dangerous, I'm going to fish it out." Who knows, it might be something heaven-defying. Hua Yihan excitedly nodded and eagerly said, "Let me." She then ran to the pond and took out a beast pouch. Hua Yihan summoned a little white mouse. Treasure-seeking mouse. Lin Feng was shocked. This wasn't the first time he had seen a treasure-seeking mouse. He had seen one at Miao Yuling's place. Chapter 15:12. The treasure-hunting mouse was psychic. It was a spiritual beast that could be compared to the dragon rabbit. However, the dragon rabbit was a spiritual beast that could search for treasures. The treasure-hunting mouse, on the other hand, could search for treasures that were buried underground. The two spiritual beasts were good at different things. However, both the treasure-hunting mouse and the dragon rabbit had amazing abilities. After the little fellow was summoned, it began to squeak and squeak. Then, it waved its little paws as if it was saying something to Hua Yihan. Hua Yihan took out a spiritual fruit and handed it to the treasure-hunting mouse. The treasure-hunting mouse grabbed the spiritual fruit with its little paws and started chewing. So this little guy was asking Hua Yihan for something to eat. The treasure-hunting mouse finished the spiritual fruit in no time. Then, it patted its little belly. Then, it jumped into the pond. The treasure-hunting mouse dived into the pond and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng and Hua Yihan waited by the shore. About 15 minutes later, the treasure-hunting mouse swam up with a metal box. This really tired the little guy out. When they were in the water, they began to squeak. Hua Yihan used her magic to pull the treasure-hunting mouse and the metal box up. The treasure-hunting mouse squeaked, as if it was asking for credit. "You little foodie." Hua Yihan tapped the treasure-hunting mouse's nose with a finger. Her eyes were full of love. Then she took out a spiritual fruit and gave it to the treasure-hunting mouse. After the treasure-hunting mouse ate the spiritual fruit, Hua Yihan put it back into the beast pouch. Lin Feng and Hua Yihan both looked at the metal box. The metal box was about 1.5 meters long, 1 meter wide, and 0.5 meter tall. It was made of a type of black iron. The metal box emitted a cold aura. Lin Feng touched the metal box with his hand. He immediately felt waves of cold aura entering his body. He quickly removed his hand. Hua Yihan asked, "Is there something wrong with this metal box?" Lin Feng slightly frowned and said, "The baleful yin qi is too dense. I think this iron box is filled with a demonic aura." Hua Yihan also reached out to touch it. Her body began to tremble as if she was about to be sealed in ice. Hua Yihan's strength was clearly not enough to withstand the baleful yin qi emitted by the iron box. As for the baleful yin qi, it was an extremely cold power. Weaker cultivators could very well be frozen to death. Hua Yihan's face was pale. She wanted to remove her right hand from the metal box, but she was shocked to find that her right hand was stuck to the metal box. She couldn't move it at all. Lin Feng hurriedly grabbed Hua Yihan's right hand that was placed on top of the iron box and removed her right hand from the iron box. However, Hua Yihan's body was still trembling. The baleful yin qi had invaded her body. If she couldn't resolve it, Hua Yihan would definitely be seriously injured by the baleful yin qi that had invaded her body. The little girl hugged Lin Feng with both hands, trying to obtain some warmth from Lin Feng's body. In a flash, Lin Feng sensed the arrogance and pride of the emperor's body, which was holding him back. This scale, Lin Feng couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Of course, he knew that now wasn't the time to be distracted. Lin Feng didn't dare to hesitate and hurriedly circulated his heavenly fire. Under Lin Feng's control, a wave of heavenly fire energy surged into Hua Yihan's body. This wave of heavenly fire energy circulated around Hua Yihan's body. In an instant, all of the baleful yin qi, It was completely wiped out. Hua Yihan's pale face regained its color. It's fine now. Lin Feng patted Hua Yihan's perky, but... Hooligan! Hua Yihan's beautiful face slightly reddened, and she quickly let go of Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, I was kind enough to save you, but I was slandered as a hooligan. Even the snow in June can't describe my grievance. Humph humph. Hua Yihan lightly snorted twice, then said, I take back what I said just now, and then I'll solemnly thank you, okay? Lin Feng said, since you really want to thank me, then you have to be sincere. Lin Feng's eyes couldn't help but look towards Hua Yihan's proud place. Feeling Lin Feng's burning gaze, Hua Yihan felt as if a pair of big hands were caressing her. Hua Yihan's body went soft. She quickly used her hands to protect her proud place. If you dare to look around again, I'll gouge out your eyeballs. Hua Yihan's fiery temper returned, and she fiercely glared at Lin Feng. Lin Feng retracted his gaze, no longer continuing to tease Hua Yihan. His gaze fell on the mysterious metal box, and he couldn't help but frown slightly. This metal box wasn't simple, and it was densely covered with all sorts of powerful runes. Even when Lin Feng looked at those runes, he couldn't immediately think of a way to break them. What do you think is inside this metal box? Hua Yihan asked. Lin Feng rubbed his chin and said, That's hard to say, but this metal box is densely covered with runes, and it's emitting such a gloomy aura. No matter what's inside, I feel that it's very likely to be something extremely ominous. Then what do we do now? Should we open the metal box or not? What Yihan asked. She was originally very excited to open the metal box, but she had only touched it a moment ago, and she had almost lost her life. How could she have the courage to open it now? Lin Feng said, Since we've already taken out the metal box, there's no reason not to open it. However, you should stay away for now. I'm worried that if we open the metal box, something terrible will happen. At that time, I might not be able to take care of you. Hua Yihan didn't throw a tantrum at this time. She obediently walked 30 meters away and watched from a distance. Lin Feng squatted next to the metal box, studying the runes on the metal box. The person who set up this formation is really amazing, combining all kinds of formations together. Such an exquisite method. This person's research on formations is too shocking. I might be able to use the secret technique recorded in the Celestial Master Path's 9 formation breaking scrolls to break the formation, but I don't know if it'll work. Lin Feng frowned slightly, and he decided to give it a try. For the next 6 hours, Lin Feng kept trying to break the formation on the metal box. Finally, after trying again and again, Wang Chang's eyes lit up. Lin Feng finally found the right way to break the formation on the metal box. After spending another half an hour, Lin Feng cracked the formation on the metal box. Then, Lin Feng began to open the metal box. A gap had just been opened in the metal box. Suddenly, a terrifying killing intent filled the air. That killing intent made Lin Feng feel as if he had fallen into an endless purgatory. At that moment, he even felt that his life was about to be taken away in an instant. The killing intent in the metal box was too strong. Lin Feng only had one thought, and that was to seal the metal box again. Otherwise, if he really opened the metal box, who knows what terrible things would happen. However, Lin Feng was not willing to seal the metal box like this. It was not easy to crack the formation on the metal box. If he didn't take a look at what was inside the metal box, wouldn't that be too regretful? Lin Feng gritted his teeth and opened the metal box. Seeing the thing in the metal box, Lin Feng's face was full of shock. Chapter 15:13. There were pieces of minced meat, as if someone had used a knife to cut it open. In addition to the minced meat, Lin Feng also saw fingers, toes, and so on. There were even some internal organs. However, there was no head. This was a complete corpse, and the head was missing. As for the corpse, it had been chopped into pieces. Then, it was sealed in a metal box. What kind of deep hatred did this person have? Killing someone was not enough to vent their hatred, and they even wanted to dismember the corpse. It was too bloody and violent. Boom, a terrifying killing intent emanated from the dismembered corpse, and it directly bombarded Lin Feng's body, sending Lin Feng flying. Wah! Lin Feng spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was as pale as paper. He fell to the ground, almost unable to move. Lin Feng, are you okay? Hua Yihan exclaimed when she saw that Lin Feng was injured. She wanted to run towards Lin Feng. Don't come over. Quickly leave the courtyard. This dismembered corpse has a great origin, and the killing intent it emits is too terrifying. If you continue to stay here, I'm afraid you'll be killed. Lin Feng shouted loudly. You have to be careful. Hua Yihan looked at Lin Feng worriedly. She bit her lip, hesitated for a moment, and finally chose to run outside. Even if she did not want to leave Lin Feng alone to face the dismembered corpse in the metal box. However, Hua Yihan understood that if she continued to stay here, she would not be of any help at all. Moreover, she would only distract Lin Feng. Since that was the case, leaving the courtyard was the best choice. However, it was too late for Hua Yihan to leave the courtyard now. The killing intent emitted by the dismembered corpse instantly enveloped the entire courtyard. Hua Yihan was also enveloped in it. Hua Yihan could not withstand the killing intent emitted by the dismembered corpse. Her body was instantly sent flying, and she fell to the ground, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood and twitching slightly. She was afraid that she would not be able to hold on for long before she died here. Damn it, Lin Feng couldn't help but curse. He gritted his teeth and got up from the ground, walking towards the iron box. Only by closing the iron box and suppressing the dismembered corpse could they save Hua Yihan. Otherwise, not only Hua Yihan would die, even he might die a horrible death. Lin Feng was very clear about this, because the terrifying killing intent that the metal box gave off had already sealed off the courtyard, and no one could leave. The only way to get rid of the killing intent was to close the metal box and suppress the corpse again. Lin Feng's body was pierced by the killing intent emitted by the dismembered corpse, leaving bloody holes in his body one after another. But Lin Feng tried his best not to fall, because he knew he couldn't fall. Once he fell, he would never be able to stand up again. However, the killing intent emitted by the dismembered corpse was simply too powerful. Even Lin Feng found it difficult to contend against him. Lin Feng gritted his teeth and walked towards the dismembered corpse. A powerful will erupted from his body. Even if he died, he wouldn't retreat. Boom! Finally, in Lin Feng's body, the domineering aura reappeared. The purple domineering aura was emitted, resisting the terrifying killing intent emitted by the dismembered corpse. Lin Feng quickly rushed to the front of the iron box, closed the iron box, and then reconnected the broken array pattern. The dismembered corpse was suppressed in the iron box again, and Lin Feng was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. His body collapsed to the ground. This time, the domineering aura was much better than the first time. Lin Feng fainted the first time. He released the domineering aura. And this time, the domineering aura was released. Although he felt that his body was soft, as if all his strength had been drained, and waves of weakness swept through his body. But fortunately, he didn't faint at least. After releasing the domineering aura for the first time, Lin Feng's body already had a partial memory of the domineering aura. This kind of physical memory might be the reason why Lin Feng didn't faint. Lin Feng hurriedly got up and dragged his tired body to Hua Yihan. He held Hua Ihan in his arms and checked Hua Ihan's injuries. After finding that Hua Ihan's life wasn't in danger, he let out a sigh of relief and felt relieved. Then Lin Feng took out 2 god-level healing pills, gave one to Hua Ihan, and took the other one. The domineering aura consumed a lot of the body, and Lin Feng's current cultivation wasn't enough to support the use of the domineering aura. He suffered a certain backlash. Although he didn't faint directly, he almost lost all his magical power, and there were only a few weak magical powers left in his body. Therefore, he could no longer operate the immortal divine body to heal his injuries. In the next few days, Lin Feng would be in this weak state and could only take pills to heal his injuries. After the god-level pills' medicinal power dissolved, it had an extremely amazing effect on injuries. 2 hours later, Hua Ihan woke up. I didn't die? Hua Ihan's face was full of disbelief. Hua Ihan then saw Lin Feng leaning against the side and resting. When she saw Lin Feng's pale face, her heart ached. Not long after, Lin Feng woke up as well. When he saw that Hua Ihan was fine, he smiled and said, "You're really lucky. If it were anyone else, they would have died long ago." Hua Ihan showed a rare gentleness, and she knelt in front of Lin Feng like an obedient maid. She looked at Lin Feng worriedly and asked, "You don't look too good. Are you all right?" Lin Feng replied, "I'm just a little weak. It's nothing serious. I'll have to stay in this mansion for the next few days." Hua Ihan nodded. For the next few days, the ancient city was very restless at night, and one could hear the cultivators fighting with the netherworld creatures. Some cultivators would choose to hide in some of the old mansions, but not all of them could scare off the netherworld creatures. As a result, many cultivators were still discovered by the netherworld creatures, and they were forced to engage in fierce battles with them. 3 days later, Lin Feng's body finally recovered. He once again went to the metal box. I really don't know what kind of deity the corpse inside was when it was alive. It's actually so terrifying. Hua Ihan sighed. Lin Feng said, "History has buried too many truths." "Yeah, it's all a mystery. That damned iron box and that damned corpse almost cost us our lives. Let's just throw it back into the pond." Hua Ihan said. Lin Feng shook his head and said, "Why would I throw it in? This is a great killing machine. If I don't like it, I can open the metal box and throw the corpse over. Even if a god comes, he will probably die." Lin Feng put away the metal box. Then he and Hua Ihan left the old mansion. Many things happened in the past few days. Firstly, the netherworld creatures killed many cultivators. Secondly, someone discovered a few extremely ancient mansions, and within them, they found shocking things. There were rumors. In one of the ancient mansions, there was even a connate spiritual treasure. It was said that it was a supreme treasure passed down by a connate life form. This matter caused a huge uproar, and many people were heading towards that ancient mansion. P.S. Today's exam. Cough, cough. Not the college entrance exam. It's the driver's license test. Yesterday, he practiced 3 times in the examination room, and all 3 times he got a 0. Old Mantu was in tears. He had to pass today. Ha ha. There was no update in the morning. The update will be in the afternoon, when he gets home. Chapter 15:14. The mansion was huge, and many cultivators swarmed in. The name of the mansion was Tai Yuan Dao Mansion. It was obvious that this was a place where a strong cultivator lived and cultivated. Since it was called a Dao Mansion, there might be countless treasures left behind, not just connate spiritual treasures. More and more cultivators swarmed into the mansion in search of opportunities. Actually, not everyone was here for the connate spiritual treasures. Many cultivators had a clear understanding of their own strength, so they would not take the risk to snatch the Khanate spiritual treasures. Instead, they set their sights on other treasures. Lin Feng and Hua Yihan entered the Tai Yuan Dao mansion. Immediately after, the two of them felt a spatial teleportation force wrap around them. Then, this force moved the two of them to another place. There was a flash of light. Lin Feng and Hua Yihan appeared in a bamboo forest. Cultivators were constantly being teleported here. What is this place? Many people were puzzled as they looked around. Hua Yihan said, "This is a space-time teleportation array, right? It teleported us here." Lin Feng nodded and said, "It seems like this Tai Yuan Dao mansion is not simple. There is another small world inside the mansion." Hua Yihan said, "To be able to create such a small world, it must be very powerful." Lin Feng nodded, agreeing with Hua Yihan. Moreover, didn't they say that a Khanate spiritual treasure had appeared in the Tai Yuan Dao mansion? Only treasures refined by Khanate life forms were called Khanate spiritual treasures, such as the mountain and river map, the axe of cleaving heaven and earth, and the red embroidered ball. These treasures were all heaven-defying supreme treasures. Lin Feng had never seen a Khanate spiritual treasure before. He could not guess how powerful a Khanate spiritual treasure was. However, there was one thing that Lin Feng was sure of. Khanate spiritual treasures were definitely existences that surpassed imperial weapons. There were about 1,000 cultivators who had been teleported to the bamboo forest. Many of them had already scattered in all directions, searching for their own opportunities. Lin Feng and Hua Yihan also chose a direction and headed in it. After exiting the bamboo forest, they could see a mountain peak in the distance. They could even hear the sound of the waterfall falling. To have a universe within, to create a world of its own. Such a technique is truly extraordinary. At the very least, only the giant gods or even the great emperors would be capable of something like this. Hua Yihan exclaimed, "Who exactly is the owner of this great Yuan Dao palace? How extraordinary! But did you notice that all the cultivators who entered this place were new cultivators? The cultivators who entered before didn't seem to be here." Lin Feng frowned slightly and told him about some of the strange things he discovered. Hua Yihan replied, "Yeah, I noticed it too. I didn't see any of the cultivators who came here before." Lin Feng said, "Let's look around and see if those cultivators are somewhere else." Hua Yihan nodded and searched the entire small world with Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng and Hua Yihan were unable to find the cultivators who had entered the great Yuan Dao palace. There were more than 1,000 people here, and they had all entered at around the same time. How strange! Why did the people who came here before us all disappear without a trace? Could it be that we didn't enter the same small world as them? Hua Yihan voiced her doubts. Lin Feng rubbed his chin and said, "That's possible. It seems that this great Yuan Dao palace is not simple. I'm afraid that there are 2 or more small worlds." This small world had a circumference of about 500 kilometers. In the depths of the small world, there were 9 huge mountain ranges lying in the forest. If one looked down from the sky, it was as if they could see 9 huge dragons coiling around their bodies, exuding endless draconic might. The 9 dragon heads were gathered together. This was the terrain of the 9 dragons spitting pearl. Usually, when 9 dragons gathered together, they would form the strongest dragon vein. Such places were all blessed with good feng shui. It was the most suitable place for burial. Such a huge dragon vein. This is a burial ground. The owner of the great Yuan Dao palace couldn't have buried himself here, right? Hua Yihan said. Lin Feng said, "That might be possible. However, Even if the owner of the great Yuan Dao Palace wasn't buried here, he must have buried an extraordinary person. Otherwise, there would be no need to spend so much effort to move such a huge dragon vein into this small world. There was no lack of strange people who had entered this small world. There were also people who had some understanding of feng shui, and they could also see that the 9 mountain ranges gathered together were extraordinary. Among these strange people, there was a Taoist priest. This Taoist priest was called Taoist Yunyang, and he was also a space traveler. Previously, he had been together with his fellow disciples, but now they were separated. Taoists had a deep understanding of feng shui, so Taoist Yunyang was very proficient in feng shui. Even Hua Yihan couldn't compare to Taoist Yunyang. A dragon vein gathered by 9 dragons is no small matter. If there really is a tomb here, then this tomb will be heaven-defying. After hearing Taoist Yunyang's words, many people became excited and rushed into the depths of the mountain range. I wonder if this is a blessing or a curse. Lin Feng muttered to himself, frowning slightly. If they were in the outside world and encountered a dragon vein like this, and discovered a tomb, perhaps they would be able to obtain a heaven-defying opportunity. However, this was an ancient city in the starry sky. It was extremely strange. Therefore, the land where the 9 dragons gathered might contain great opportunities in the outside world, but here there might be countless dangers. Finally, the group arrived at the depths of the dragon vein. Is that an ancient tomb? A stone tablet? Is that a tombstone? Someone pointed at the depths with a shocked expression on his face. Everyone quickly rushed over. Then, they stood beside the stone tablet and looked at it. The stone tablet was 5 meters tall, 3 meters wide, and 1.5 meters thick. It was stained with blood. A strong smell of blood spread out. No one knew when the blood had spilled on the stone tablet. Countless years had passed, but the blood hadn't dried up. The blood on the stone tablet hasn't dried up even after tens of thousands of years. Whose blood was spilled on the stone tablet? A cultivator asked solemnly, "Do any of you recognize the ancient characters on it?" Another cultivator asked as he looked at the distorted characters on the stone tablet in confusion. These were characters that had been lost for a long time. Even the experienced and knowledgeable Taoist Yunyang couldn't recognize the ancient characters on the blood-stained stone tablet. However, Lin Feng had a look of disbelief on his face. Lin Feng didn't recognize the characters on the stone tablet either. However, Lin Feng knew what the ancient stone tablet in front of him was. It was a heaven-shaking stone tablet. This was the second time he had seen a heaven-shaking stone tablet. This was an ancient stone tablet that was born before the world was created. It was said that every heaven-shaking stone tablet hid the most terrifying secret in the world. Chapter 15:15. Back then, after destroying the Dugu clan, Lin Feng found a broken stone tablet in the Dugu clan's treasury. Although that stone tablet had lost its divinity, it was still surrounded by Dao runes and was extremely extraordinary. That broken stone tablet was the heaven-shaking stone tablet. Most people might not have heard of the heaven-shaking stone tablet because it was simply too mysterious. There were very few rumors about the heaven-shaking stone tablet. Therefore, even if they saw the heaven-shaking stone tablet, very few people would be able to recognize it. Lin Feng had a broken heaven-shaking stone tablet, so when he saw this blood-stained stone tablet, he immediately recognized what it was. This was because the words on this blood-stained stone tablet were exactly the same as the words on the half of the heaven-shaking stone tablet that Lin Feng had obtained. Since ancient times, countless civilizations have risen and fallen. I wonder how many ancient words have appeared, and time is enough to bury too many things. Taoist Yunyang sighed. Many people nodded, and then sighed with emotion. How many powerful races had disappeared in the passage of time, not to mention some ancient words. The blood-stained stone tablet is erected in front of the tomb. It's obvious that this is the tombstone of a dead cultivator in the tomb. A cultivator said. Many people agreed with this cultivator's words, but Lin Feng did not agree, because this was not a tombstone. This was the heaven-shaking stone tablet, the mysterious and strange heaven-shaking stone tablet. Rumor has it that the heaven-shaking stone tablet had killed an emperor. One could tell how terrifying the heaven-shaking stone tablet would be once it unleashed its might. Dig up this tomb and take a look. Someone said, already impatient to break open the tomb. Lin Feng walked in front of the heaven-shaking stone tablet. He grabbed the two edges of the heaven-shaking stone tablet with both hands and exerted force, wanting to pull it out. However, Lin Feng failed. The heaven-shaking stone tablet was not that easy to pull out. Lin Feng had the impression that he was an ordinary person trying to shake a gigantic mountain. Brat, you don't want the treasure, but the tombstone. A broken tombstone is so inauspicious. What do you want it for? Someone asked when he saw Lin Feng trying to pull out the heaven-shaking steel. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't say that this stone tablet was the heaven-shaking stone tablet. It was better for him to keep this treasure to himself. Lin Feng said, if there really is a treasure in this tomb, with my strength, I'm afraid I won't be able to snatch it from you. I know my limits, so I'll just pick up a tombstone that none of you want and carry it away. That way, this trip won't be in vain. Buffed. What? Yihan burst out laughing. She knew Lin Feng very well now, so she naturally knew that Lin Feng's words carried a hint of ridicule. Is this stone tablet very extraordinary? What? Yihan muttered in her heart. She knew Lin Feng well. Lin Feng would definitely not be so interested in an ordinary stone tablet. Ha ha ha. Brat, at least you have some self-awareness. You know that you're not strong enough to take the initiative to withdraw from the fight for treasures. Only with a personality like yours can you live longer. Some cultivators laughed. Lin Feng smiled, but didn't say anything. Instead, he continued to study how to collect the heaven-shaking stone tablets. Previously, the demon lord had said that the secrets hidden in the heaven-shaking stone tablets were shocking enough. Each of the 18 heaven-shaking stone tablets hid a different secret. It was said that some of the heaven-shaking stone tablets recorded the method to become an immortal. Some of the heaven-shaking stone tablets recorded the most mysterious Tao of destiny. Some of the heaven-shaking stone tablets recorded many secrets of the 3 realms and 6 paths. The secrets hidden in each heaven-shaking stone tablet were unimaginable. If he could obtain the heaven-shaking stone tablets and uncover the secrets within, he would benefit immensely. Moreover, the heaven-shaking stone tablets were magic treasures similar to natural spiritual treasures. They could even kill a great emperor. This was enough to show how terrifying the heaven-shaking stone tablets were. Lin Feng now suspected that there was a natural spiritual treasure in the great Yuan Dao mansion. That natural spiritual treasure couldn't be the heaven-shaking stone tablets, could it? Perhaps it was really possible. The cultivators began to dig up the graves. At this moment, Hua Yihan came to Lin Feng's side and asked softly, "What's so special about this stone tablet? Hurry up and tell me." Hua Yihan looked at Lin Feng expectantly. When he lowered his head, he could see her alluring, snow-white skin. Lin Feng could only sigh. This little girl's pride was really tempting to commit a crime. Lin Feng grabbed Hua Yihan's delicate hand and wrote 4 words on Hua Yihan's palm. Hua Yihan seemed to have heard of the heaven-shaking stone tablets before. Therefore, when she sensed these 4 words, she was shocked. Her red lips were slightly open, and it was extremely alluring. She asked, Are the rumors true about them? Hua Ihan pointed at the heaven-shaking stone tablets. Lin Feng said, "Before the rumors are verified, no one knows if they're true or false. We can only make a judgment after we study them." Hua Ihan also tried to pull out the heaven-shaking stone tablets. However, she failed. Even Lin Feng had failed, let alone Hua Ihan. The heaven-shaking stone tablets were too heavy. It was almost impossible to move. At this moment, a group of cultivators had already dug up the graves. An empty grave. Someone suddenly shouted, "How can this ancient grave be empty?" Many people found it hard to accept what they saw, and their expressions were extremely gloomy. They had painstakingly dug up the graves and waited happily for the treasures to appear. However, they found the graves were empty. The difference was too great. Damn it, which bastard built such an empty grave and made us happy for nothing? Many cultivators cursed in exasperation, and their mood was extremely bad. Crack! Crack! Suddenly, the mountain peak in the depths of the graves gradually cracked open. When many people heard the commotion, they quickly flew out of the graves and stared at the mountain peak that was cracking open. Why is this mountain peak cracking open on its own? Is something going to happen? Lin Feng frowned slightly. He felt that things were not so simple. The ancient Starry Sky City was full of evil. As for the Tai Yuan Dao Palace, it was even more evil. Therefore, no matter what kind of strange things happened, Lin Feng did not find it strange at all. Everyone stared at the cracked mountain peak without blinking. They did not know what would appear in the cracked mountain peak. "The treasures can't be here, right?" some cultivators said, looking forward to it. Lin Feng could not help but roll his eyes. At this time, they were still thinking about the treasures. There was no need for surprises now. It was fine as long as there were no surprises. Finally, the mountain peak in the depths of the graves cracked open. Everyone saw a skinny cultivator sitting cross-legged in the middle of the cracked mountain peak. There's no aura. It seems like he has died. Could it be the corpse of the Tai Yuan Dao Palace's master? Some cultivators said excitedly, if it was really the corpse of the Tai Yuan Dao Palace's master, it would be too shocking. This was because the strength of the Tai Yuan Dao Palace's master was very likely to be at the level of a giant god, or even a great emperor. The value of the corpse of such an expert was unimaginable. Also, the inheritance and treasures of the Tai Yuan Dao Palace's master should be in his storage ring, right? Immediately, 4 or 5 cultivators rushed toward the mysterious corpse at lightning speed. Chapter 15:16. Most of the people did not take action. Instead, they were observing because they were afraid. After all, the corpse of such a terrifying expert, when he was alive, was not something that anyone could touch just because they wanted to. The cultivators rushed to the mysterious corpse, and, as expected, they met with a calamity. Bang! Their bodies exploded and turned into a bloody mist. All of the bloody mist was instantly devoured by the mysterious corpse. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw this. No one had expected the corpse to be so strange. It could actively devour the bloody mist and essence of cultivators. There's something wrong with this corpse. It's a little too strange. Lin Feng frowned. He had a bad premonition. The corpse did not have any life force flowing through it. How could it actively absorb the flesh and essence of the corpse? This was the strangest part, and Lin Feng could not figure out the reason behind it. It can't be a corpse transformation, right? Hua Ihan muttered softly. Don't jinx it. Many people glared at Hua Ihan. Hua Ihan stuck out her tongue and patted her chest. Then she patted her chest. Clearly, She was frightened by the hostile gazes of a group of people. What Ihan whispered, "I'm just telling the truth. What right do these people have to glare at me?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "Don't you know that in this world there are very few people who like to hear the truth, and there are many who like to hear lies?" Hua Ihan pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, "Yes, human nature has always been like this." She then said, "I'm very uneasy. Should we leave this place?" Lin Feng said, "I want to leave too, but the problem is that even if we leave this place, we won't be able to get out. Let's wait a little longer. If the situation doesn't seem right, it won't be too late to leave." Hua Ihan nodded and stood beside Lin Feng. Lin Feng could smell the alluring fragrance coming from Hua Ihan's body. This woman was really the best of the best. Whether it was her figure, her face, or even her body fragrance, she had it all. One had to know, among women, it was rare to find someone with a body fragrance. Women with body fragrance were often peerless beauties, just like Hua Ihan, who was a beautiful girl. What do we do now? Could it be that we're just going to watch? Some cultivators said, unwilling to give up. The mysterious corpse was wearing 3 storage rings. Who knew what treasures were in them? He was naturally unwilling to give up just like that. Everyone looked at Taoist Yunyang. This Taoist had extraordinary means, and many people hoped that he could come up with a good solution. Taoist Yunyang smiled bitterly. He was also at his wits' end. Lin Feng looked at the ancient corpse and frowned slightly. In reality, he did not approve of everyone touching this ancient corpse. This was because this ancient corpse gave Lin Feng a strange feeling, but as for what exactly was strange, Lin Feng was unable to pinpoint it. However, Lin Feng did not try to dissuade everyone. Now, everyone's eyes were red. They only had one thought, and that was to obtain the mysterious ancient corpse and the treasures in its storage rings. If Lin Feng tried to dissuade them from touching the ancient corpse, he would definitely become the target of public criticism. It was possible that such a group of experts would join forces to deal with Lin Feng. Lin Feng naturally would not ask for a snub. "Perhaps I have an idea," an old cultivator said. At this moment, Lin Feng finally noticed this old cultivator. He was slightly surprised. This old cultivator was extraordinary. His aura had returned to its original state, and his great Tao was as smooth as one. There was a faint cluster of divine fire in his body that released endless divine power. However, the divine power released by the divine fire was now suppressed by this old cultivator and did not appear. This old cultivator was very low-key. If he did not speak, no one would pay attention to him. "What idea?" a cultivator asked. The old cultivator said, "This corpse's divine power did not dissipate after death, and there are signs of it turning into an evil spirit, so we cannot touch it easily. However, there is an ancient saying that when a person dies, they can rest in peace. Previously, this corpse was buried in an ancient mountain. The mountain is made of stone, and stone is of the metal element. Metal is the main offensive element among the 5 elements, and evil spirits do not have any life aura, but their offensive power is very strong, so they were buried in the mountain under the imperceptible influence. This corpse is slowly transforming into an evil spirit, but if we let it rest in peace, then we can eliminate the baleful yin energy in its body." It was not unreasonable for people to be buried in peace after death. The earth gave birth to all living things. That was why there was a saying like Mother Earth. When a person died, they would return to the embrace of Mother Earth. This way, they would not become a lonely soul in the future and could be reincarnated. Why were there so many water ghosts in the sea? It was because people buried at sea could not be buried in peace. In the end, they would turn into evil spirits and attack sailors, cultivators, and even ordinary fishermen. And now, The old cultivator's method was to let the mysterious corpse rest in peace and let it return to the embrace of Mother Earth. At that time, the baleful Yin energy in the mysterious corpse would fuse with the earth and be absorbed by it. Then, it would gradually settle into the depths of the earth. The earth was full of tolerance. It could contain all kinds of power without worrying about it causing any serious damage to the earth. Then let's dig up the soil and bury it now, a cultivator said. Yes, a cultivator said. The old cultivator said, the baleful Yin energy in this corpse's body is too dense. Ordinary soil is useless to it. Someone asked, then what kind of soil do we need? The old cultivator said, the living soil of the 9 heavens is the first choice. However, this is a holy object from before the creation of the world, so there's no need to consider it. The living soil of the 9 heavens probably can't be found in the world anymore. Apart from the living soil of the 9 heavens, there is another type of soil called the Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil. It's also a holy object. Although it can't compare to the living soil of the 9 heavens, I think it will have no problem dissolving the baleful Yin energy in the corpse. Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil? What kind of soil is that? I've never heard of it. Many people began to mutter. The old cultivator said, there is a mysterious Yellow Mountain region in the heaven realm. It is said that it gave birth to the supreme almighty of the stone tribe, the Yellow Brow's Tao ancestor. The Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil is a kind of holy ground that can only be found in the depths of the Yellow Mountain region. It is said that it can suppress evil spirits, drive away evil spirits, ferry the dead, and mend the heavens and fill the seas. It is truly amazing. Someone said, we don't know where to find such a treasure. The old cultivator said, there is a fellow Taoist here who has the Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil. I wonder if he is willing to part with it. There is actually someone who has such a precious treasure. Which fellow Taoist is it? Many people looked at each other in dismay. The old cultivator did not say who had the Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil. It was obvious that he did not want to make things difficult for that cultivator, nor did he want to offend that cultivator. Lin Feng's eyes swept across the 1,700 people around him. He was looking for the cultivator, who might have the Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil. Chapter 1517. It was too difficult to find the cultivator with the Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil among 1,700 people. Moreover, the cultivator didn't reveal any flaws. The old cultivator didn't give anyone any clues either. Therefore, after Lin Feng glanced around, he didn't notice anything. If the old cultivator didn't say anything, and the cultivator with the Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil didn't show himself, finding him would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Which brother has the Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil? Brother, please take out the Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil. We can guarantee that when the treasures are distributed, you will be the first to choose a powerful treasure to offset the soul soil you used. What do you think? A cultivator said, and made a suggestion. That's right. We also agree to let you be the first to choose the treasure. Many cultivators were talking at the same time. At that moment, a cultivator wearing a black cloak and a bamboo hat said, Old man Kuan Xian's cultivation is very high. I'm impressed that you can sense the soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town on me. When they saw the cultivator with the soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town appear, many people became excited. The old cultivator was Old Man Kuan Xian. He smiled and said, It's because I was lucky enough to see this treasure in my early years. I can still vaguely remember the aura of the soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town. That's why I can sense the soul soil's aura. After a pause, Old Man Kuan Xian continued, Since you have the soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town, are you from the Huang family of the astral all-heaven domain? That's right. I'm Huang Ganming of the Huang family of the Astral All-Heaven Domain. The cultivators said. The Astral All-Heaven Domain was a famous domain in the starry sky. This domain was boundless, and there were as many strong cultivators as there were clouds. In the boundless starry sky, it was a famous domain. The Huang family was one of the top clans in the Astral All-Heaven Domain. Therefore, such a power would often have some unimaginable treasures. For example, Huang Ganming had the soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town. It was the most precious treasure of his family. It was rumored that the ancestor of the Huang family was related to Tao ancestor Huang Mei. Therefore, their ancestor had passed down the soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town. Old man Kun Xian said, Taoist Huang, what do you think? Are you willing to use the soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town? Since I took the initiative to show myself, I have a plan. But I have a condition. Huang Ganming said. What plans? Kun Xian, old man, asked. I want to choose 2 treasures first. Huang Ganming said. This Huang Ganming was obviously very greedy. He wanted to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to pick the best treasures. Everyone, what do you think? Old man Kun Xian was a sly old fox. He didn't say anything, but asked instead. Many people's expressions darkened. They felt that Huang Ganming's request was too much. However, Huang Ganming controlled the soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town. Everyone had no choice but to agree with Huang Ganming. All right, we agree. After some discussion, the other cultivators nodded in agreement. Huang Ganming smiled and said, Since everyone agrees, that's great. I'll use Huang Shan Town's soul soil to bury the corpse. As soon as he finished speaking, Huang Ganming leaped out and floated in the air. Light flashed in his hand, and a small handful of yellow soil appeared. This soil was the famous soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town. Huang Ganming flipped his right hand, and the soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town fell down. The small handful of soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town turned into sand in the blink of an eye, submerging the corpse. The corpse's body began to be buried. Before long, the yellow sand of Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil had piled up to the corpse's neck. It was about to completely bury the corpse. Screech, however, at that moment, the corpse suddenly opened its eyes and let out an ear-piercing screech. The corpse kept struggling. It wanted to break free from the yellow sand. Clearly, the yellow sand of Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil had caused great damage to the corpse. Baleful energy was constantly spewing out of the god corpse's body. The corpse's body began to rot. Quick, attack him. Don't let him break free from the yellow sand, Old man Kun Xian said in a low voice. He took the lead and attacked the corpse. Boom, boom, boom. The other cultivators didn't dare hesitate and quickly attacked as well. Their attacks covered the sky and covered the earth as they attacked the corpse. The god's corpse was very terrifying. Ordinary cultivators' attacks couldn't harm him at all. What really hurt him was the soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town. The soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town in Huang Ganming's hand turned into sand and submerged the corpse. The corpse's body continued to rot. Soon, even its bones could be seen. After seeing this scene, many people sucked in a breath of cold air. The soul soil of Yellow Mountain Town was really powerful. If they didn't have this treasure, it wouldn't be easy to deal with the corpse. Screech, screech, screech. The corpse let out one ear-piercing screech after another. Black fog rolled in his body, and an evil aura surged out. When his body was covered by the black fog, the yellow sand of Yellow Mountain Town's soul soil couldn't hurt the corpse. Then, something terrifying happened. The corpse struggled to break free from the yellow sand. At that moment, the corpse was no longer a corpse. It had turned into an evil corpse. Oh no, I can't trap him. Huang Ganming's expression changed when he saw this. He turned around and fled. Whoosh! However, the evil corpse's speed was too fast. As if it had teleported, its body shook slightly, and an afterimage appeared. In the next moment, the corpse arrived in front of Huang Ganming. The evil corpse's right hand instantly pierced through Huang Qianming's chest. Huang Qianming felt a sharp pain in his chest. He lowered his head and saw that the evil corpse that pierced through his chest was actually holding his heart. I can't believe I died just like that. Huang Ganming shouted in disbelief. In the next moment, the corpse pulled out its right hand from Huang Ganming's chest. Huang Ganming's corpse fell down. Huang Ganming opened his mouth. The evil corpse opened its mouth and began to eat Huang Ganming's heart raw. Its mouth was full of blood, and it was extremely bloody. Many people felt their scalps go numb when they saw this. Attack together. I don't believe that we can't kill this corpse with so many of us. A cultivator shouted. That's right, we have more people. We can definitely kill this corpse. Someone else said. Rumble, all 1,700 cultivators attacked at once. All kinds of powerful attacks were thrown at the corpse. Those attacks could be said to be apocalyptic. They drowned the corpse in an instant, but the devil corpse opened its bloody mouth and suddenly inhaled. The attacks from the 1,700 people were all swallowed by it. Chapter 15:18. Isn't this a little too abnormal? Everyone felt their scalps go numb when they saw the zombie swallow everyone's attacks in one gulp. The zombie's strength was indescribable with words. This was after the evil corpse had suffered serious injuries, yet it still had such terrifying fighting strength. It was hard to imagine what kind of fighting strength the evil corpse had when it was not injured. We're in trouble now. We have to leave quickly. The zombie can't fight it at all. We have to find a way out. Lin Feng said in a deep voice. He grabbed Hua Yihan's hand and rushed into the distance. The zombie was so strong that it made people despair. They were simply overestimating themselves if they wanted to fight the zombie. Lin Feng was very clear about this. The others were also very clear about this. The only way to escape was to find a way out. However, it was obviously not an easy task. Many people had tried to find a way out before, but to no avail. Now, it was easier said than done to find a way out. However, other than this method, what else could they do to leave this strange, small world? Hurry up and run. Many people cried out in fear and fled into the distance. The zombie had already rushed into the crowd and started to attack everyone crazily. The zombie was too fast. It was so fast that only an afterimage could be seen in the void. Pooh, pooh, pooh. The sound of something being torn apart could be heard. The zombie grabbed the hearts of the cultivators and threw them out. The zombie only ate the hearts. It didn't even touch the other parts of the body. After the cultivators' corpses fell to the ground, they were quickly swallowed by the earth. It was a hair-raising scene. Lin Feng had seen the ancient cosmic city devouring cultivators' corpses before. He didn't expect that it wasn't just the ancient cosmic city that could devour cultivators' corpses. Even the small world in the great Yuan Dao Palace could devour cultivators' corpses. Many cultivators died tragically under the zombie's sharp claws, while the others were lucky enough to escape. The zombie didn't immediately look for other cultivators. Instead, it went to the heaven-shaking stone tablet. It sneered and said, "Great Yuan Dao Palace Lord, did you think that there would be a day when I would return? You schemed so hard to kill me, but didn't you fail in the end? And now, you don't even have a corpse left behind. If you knew this day would come, would you still have insisted on fighting me to the death? Won't rest until one of us dies." The evil corpse wiped off the blood on the heaven-shaking stone tablet, then licked the blood on his finger with his scarlet tongue. The evil corpse said eerily, "It tastes really good. This might be the only thing you left in this world." The evil corpse took a deep breath and swallowed all the blood on the heaven-shaking stone steel. However, the blood had been on the heaven-shaking stone steel for too long, so it had formed patches of blood-red imprints. This heaven-shaking steel now belongs to me. The evil corpse laughed sinisterly. He held the heaven-shaking steel with both hands and lifted it up. After that, the evil corpse soared into the sky and flew into the distance. In the end, it arrived in front of a waterfall. The evil corpse placed the heaven-shaking steel in the waterfall to wash it. Wash away the past, and you will have a new master. The evil corpse cleaned the heaven-shaking steel. The heaven-shaking steel suddenly became smooth, and the small words that were originally covered by dust, now they had also appeared. These words, the evil corpse seemed to recognize them. Bury the 9 heavens. Reverse the chaos of billions of generations. The evil corpse read the words on it. There were about 3,000 to 4,000 words, and he frowned. The heaven-shaking steel recorded a huge secret, and now the evil corpse was coming into contact with these secrets. However, the evil corpse only read a few dozen words, and the 3,000 to 4,000 words gradually disappeared. Why did it disappear? The evil corpse roared angrily. The heaven-shaking steel was very mysterious. Rumor had it that there were originally 18 wordless heavenly steels, and the words on them were not carved by humans. It was the heaven-shaking steel that took the initiative to manifest. Since it could manifest the words on its own, then, naturally, it could also make these words disappear. And now, these words had disappeared. "Come out. Hurry up and come out." The evil corpse punched the heaven-shaking steel again and again. However, he was simply unable to destroy the heaven-shaking steel. And the words on the heaven-shaking steel did not continue to manifest. "This damned steel. I almost lost my life because of you, but you hid your own secrets." The evil corpse kept cursing. In the past, the heaven-shaking steel was actually obtained by the Taiyuan Palace Lord by chance. Later, the evil corpse found out that he had killed the Taiyuan Palace Lord's entire family while he was out, and then wanted to snatch the heaven-shaking steel. However, the evil corpse did not expect the Taiyuan Palace Lord to rush back in time and seal the evil corpse in his own small world. After that, the Taiyuan Palace Lord and the evil corpse started an intense battle. This battle caused the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. The evil corpse used the heaven-shaking steel to kill the Taiyuan Palace Lord. However, before Lin Feng, the Taiyuan Palace Lord had used his strongest attack to completely destroy the evil corpse. Unfortunately, the Taiyuan Palace Lord had only destroyed the evil corpse's soul, but not its physical body. The evil corpse was very terrifying when it was alive. If its physical body was not destroyed, it could turn into an evil spirit in the future. Countless years had passed. It had really turned into an evil spirit. However, the evil corpse was no longer the god of the past. The evil corpse could not make the words on the heaven-shaking steel appear again. In anger, the evil corpse soared into the sky and flew into the distance. The cultivators in this small world were instantly in trouble. Many people died tragically under the evil corpse's attack. This small world was not big. It had a radius of 500 miles. With the evil corpse's spiritual sense, it could cover the entire small world. Therefore, they wanted to escape from the evil corpse. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Not long later, the cultivators in the small world were basically killed by the evil corpse. The evil corpse ate their hearts, and the corpses were devoured by the small world just like before. "Come out." Above a mountain range, the evil corpse slapped the mountain range below with a cold and eerie voice. Bang! The mountain range collapsed. Then, a cultivator rushed out from the mountain range. This cultivator was actually Old Man Kuan Xian. Old Man Kuan Xian fled into the distance. He had no intention of fighting the evil corpse at all. This was because the evil corpse was too terrifying. No one was a match for it. You can't get away. The evil corpse rushed forward and said coldly, in a mountain forest more than 10 miles away, Lin Feng and Hua Yihan were hiding. They looked at Old Man Kuan Xian and the evil corpse in the sky with a serious expression. Old Man Kuan Xian is a divine flame realm expert. He should have some hidden methods. I wonder if he can fight against the evil corpse. Hua Yihan said with a pale face. It's useless. The evil corpse is too strong. Old Man Kuan Xian will definitely fall. Lin Feng said. His heart was heavy. Most of the cultivators who entered this small world should have died. Would it be his and Hua Yihan's turn soon? Chapter 15:19. Boom. A terrifying shockwave swept through the world. The evil corpse's attack was very terrifying, directly enveloping Old Man Kuan Xian, making it impossible for him to dodge. Old Man Kuan Xian had no choice but to stop to block the evil corpse's attack. After all, Old Man Kuan Xian was a divine fire realm expert, so he was not to be underestimated. Old Man Kuan Xian's hands continuously changed seals. Powerful mana fluctuations surged out, and above the 9 heavens, the Milky Way world appeared. Then, one star after another smashed towards the evil corpse. The stars fell like rain. This was an extremely tyrannical attack. Even though he was far away, Lin Feng could feel the power of Old Man Kuan Xian's sacred art. However, the evil corpse was even stronger. Facing the falling stars, the evil corpse waved his right hand, and monstrous demonic chi surged. Bang, bang, bang. Along with the sound of collision, one after another. Stars were shattered one after another. Mountain-shattering fist. The evil corpse stood in midair and punched out 1,000 meters away from Old Man Kuan Xian. Old Man Kuan Xian felt as if he was struck by lightning. His body flew backwards. Wah! He spat out a mouthful of blood. His body exploded, dripping with blood. The evil corpse was an almost invincible existence. A casual attack was actually able to injure an expert like Old Man Kuan Xian so heavily. Lowly creature, a mere 9th layer of the divine fire realm dares to jump around in front of me. If it was in the past, a cultivator like you wouldn't even have the qualifications to be my servant. The evil corpse looked at Old Man Kuan Xian indifferently. This kind of arrogance came from the depths of his bones. The evil corpse did not put Old Man Kuan Xian in his eyes at all. Of course, the evil corpse had this strength. Perhaps, in the eyes of the evil corpse, Old Man Kuan Xian was just an ant. Old Man Kuan Xian laughed bitterly and said, I never thought that I, Kuan Xian, would finally die in this place. Even if I die today, I will drag you down with me. Boom! A terrifying fluctuation was emitted from Old Man Kuan Xian's body. Next, a large amount of flames surged out of Old Man Kuan Xian's body. Those flames wrapped around Old Man Kuan Xian's body. Old Man Kuan Xian's body burned fiercely. Old Man Kuan Xian's body, naturally his battle strength to the extreme, and rushed towards the evil corpse. Divine fire to ignite the body? You want to fight me one last time? The evil corpse immediately revealed a sneering expression. In the eyes of the evil corpse, no matter what method Old Man Kuan Xian used to increase his battle prowess, Old Man Kuan Xian had to use. To him, they posed no threat at all. Very quickly, Old Man Kuan Xian arrived in front of the evil corpse. The evil corpse's expression was cold. He raised his right hand and slashed at Old Man Kuan Xian. Just as the attack was about to land on Old Man Kuan Xian, his body suddenly swelled. Old Man Kuan Xian didn't want to have a final battle with the evil corpse. Instead, he wanted to self-destruct. Madman, self-destructing will destroy your body and soul. You won't even have the chance to reincarnate. Seeing that Old Man Kuan Xian was about to self-destruct, the evil corpse's expression changed abruptly. He quickly retreated, trying to avoid Old Man Kuan Xian. Old Man Kuan Xian's face twisted. What reincarnation? Even if there really is a reincarnation, I don't care anymore. I just want your life. No matter what price I have to pay, I won't regret it. Old Man Kuan Xian gave chase. Then his body instantly exploded. The self-detonation of a Godfire realm powerhouse was naturally incomparably terrifying. The evil corpse was submerged in the energy of Old Man Kuan Xian's self-destruction. At the center of the explosion, an angry roar could be heard. The evil corpse rushed out and roared at the sky. One of his arms was blown off. Apart from that, the evil corpse didn't suffer any other injuries. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng's face turned pale with shock. That was the self-destruction of a divine fire realm expert. Unexpectedly, it only destroyed one of the evil corpse's arms. This evil corpse was too terrifying, wasn't it? You actually made me lose an arm. You really deserve to die 10,000 times for your sins. The evil corpse's expression was gloomy. Right now, he couldn't wait to tear Old Man Kuan Xian into pieces, but Old Man Kuan Xian had already died. The evil corpse finally soared into the sky and flew away. He left. Lin Feng let out a long breath. The cave he and Hua Yihan were hiding in was covered by a concealment restriction. Even the evil corpse didn't discover them. Hua Yihan sighed and said, even a powerful existence like Old Man Kuan Xian died. Sooner or later, he'll discover us. Lin Feng said, you don't have to worry now. I'm studying the formation to break this small world. It's only a matter of time. Hua Yihan smiled and said, I believe you can definitely do it. At night, Hua Yihan took the initiative to snuggle into Lin Feng's arms. Lin Feng immediately felt apprehensive. What was wrong with this girl's brain? She actually took the initiative to throw herself into his arms. Hua Yihan saw that Lin Feng was looking at her. She directly sat on Lin Feng's body and began to tear off Lin Feng's clothes. What are you doing? Lin Feng grabbed Hua Yihan's hand. This girl is too abnormal. It made Lin Feng's hair stand on end. Hua Yihan struggled free from Lin Feng's big hands and then continued to tear off Lin Feng's clothes. I might die tomorrow. I've never had a man before, so I don't know what it's like. I want to try it. Hua Yihan's voice was trembling. Her body was also trembling, but her movements were crazy and Lin Feng's clothes were torn apart. Many times, when one was facing death, it might not be that terrifying. What was truly frightening was the process of waiting for death. From Hua Yihan's point of view, Lin Feng's words during the day were only to comfort her. This small world simply could not be broken. She and Lin Feng could be discovered by the evil corpse at any time. Then, at that time, what they faced was death. Therefore, Hua Yihan wanted to go crazy. Hua Yihan's pink lips bit Lin Feng's lips. Her movements were very jerky. Lin Feng felt that if he really did something with Hua Yihan now, wouldn't it be too beastly? After all, the current Hua Yihan was very abnormal. However, Lin Feng could not resist the passionate Hua Yihan. If one day you go out, will you regret today's madness? Lin Feng asked. I don't regret it. I don't hate you. On the contrary, I like you a little. Hua Yihan bit her lips and said, I'm willing to let you take my body. Hua Yihan's voice trembled. What Ihan had already said so much. If he were to push her away now, he would be in trouble. Was that still a man? Lin Feng also began to take the initiative. That night, for what Ihan, it was a special day, because she had been a young girl. She had become a young woman. Chapter 15:20. The one-armed evil corpse became even crazier. It searched everywhere for the cultivators that entered the small world. Originally, there weren't many cultivators left alive in the small world. When the evil corpse searched for these cultivators for the second time, the cultivators that were originally hiding were all found by the evil corpse. Then, the evil corpse mercilessly killed them and ate their hearts. There's something else here? When the corpse passed by the mountain range where Lin Feng and Hua Yihan were hiding, its eyes flickered with dense killing intent. It was obvious that the corpse had found something amiss. No one can escape the fate of death. Boom! The corpse attacked with a palm strike towards the mountain range. We've been discovered, Hua Yihan said with a pale face. After Hua Yihan turned from a young girl to a young married woman, she had a charming temperament and was even more enchanting than before. Lin Feng took out the void teleportation talisman. After the talisman was activated, it released a spatial teleportation power that instantly enveloped the two of them. Whoosh! With a flash of light, Lin Feng and Hua Yihan disappeared without a trace. Bang! The corpse's attack landed on the mountain range that stretched for more than 10 li, causing the entire mountain range to crumble. They're not here, but such a powerful spatial teleportation power. Did they use the void teleportation talisman to leave? The corpse's eyes flickered with coldness. Its powerful divine sense continued to search the pocket world. Lin Feng and Hua Yihan appeared 50 li away. The pocket world was empty, and there were no other cultivators. Lin Feng brought Hua Yihan to many places, hoping to find some clues that would allow them to leave the pocket world. However, the corpse was always able to lock onto them and chase after them. Brat, do you think you can escape? I am the ruler of this pocket world. The corpse's voice was cold. Ruler? The outside world is very big. Do you know how much the word ruler means? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Lin Feng mocked. There was no need to be polite to the corpse. Could it be that he would be able to escape this calamity just by saying nice words? Lin Feng took out the void teleportation jade talisman. He and Hua Yihan disappeared once again. It's that stone tablet. Hua Yihan saw the heaven-shaking steel beside a pool of water. She pointed at it and said, Lin Feng landed. The blood on the heaven-shaking steel had already disappeared. Was it swallowed by the evil corpse? Hey, look. There are two kinds of bloodstains on the stone tablet. One is dark, and the other is brighter. Hua Yihan pointed at the stone tablet. Lin Feng looked over, and indeed discovered this point. This was the bloodstain left behind by the blood that had spilled on the heaven-shaking stone tablet. The brighter colors were obviously left behind by the fresh blood that had not dried up not long ago. As for the dark bloodstains, they were clearly even more ancient. When Lin Feng saw the faint color of the blood, his sovereign blood began to tremble. Then Lin Feng couldn't help but cry. This is the blood of an ancestor. It spilled on the heaven-shaking stone tablet, muttered Lin Feng. It was the ancestor of his mother's clan, the inheritance of a sovereign's bloodline. Lin Feng reached out and touched the bloodstains. His body trembled slightly. What had happened in the past? The sovereign's clan had existed before the creation of the world. Niwa, Pangu, and the others had all been friends with the first generation of the sovereign's clan. Over the years, there had been very few members of the sovereign's clan. From the creation of the world until now, there had been less than 10 of them. which ancestor had suffered such a calamity that his blood had spilled on the heaven-shaking stone tablet. Swish! In the distance, there was a flash of light. The evil corpse appeared again. He smiled viciously at Lin Feng and Hua Yihan, his eyes flashing with killing intent. He's chasing us again. Hua Yihan's face paled. Lin Feng gave Hua Yihan a storage ring and said, "There are many teleportation talismans in there. Leave for now. I have a way to deal with him." Hua Yihan bit her lip, but she didn't leave. Lin Feng crushed a teleportation talisman and teleported her somewhere else. "You're sending someone away and staying behind. Do you think you can stay behind and fight me?" The evil corpse's eyes flashed with killing intent. He didn't attack immediately. Instead, he walked towards Lin Feng. An evil aura filled the air. It was as if this place had turned into a living hell. "Who are you? What era are you from?" Lin Feng looked at the evil corpse indifferently. "Ha ha ha. I am the heavenly Tao, high and mighty. I control everything in this world, including the lives and deaths of countless living things," said the evil corpse proudly. "Heavenly Tao, who are you trying to fool?" Lin Feng sneered. "Your life is in my hands, yet you dare to question me? Do you know the consequences of questioning me?" The evil corpse said coldly. Lin Feng sneered. "Since I'm going to die anyway, I'd rather take a gamble. Who knows, maybe I'll be able to win." Lin Feng arrived in front of the stone stele and circulated his sovereign emperor blood. At that moment, Lin Feng felt a strong connection between his sovereign emperor blood and the dried sovereign emperor blood on the stone stele. Suddenly, the sovereign emperor blood on the heaven-shaking stone stele, which had only dried up, began to change. In the blink of an eye, the dried sovereign emperor blood turned red. It turned into a pool of sovereign emperor's blood, covering half of the stone stele. It was as if they had returned to ancient times. It was the scene of the sovereign emperor blood splattering all over the stone stele. "What's going on? I've already devoured the Taiyuan Palace Lord's blood. Why is it appearing now?" The evil corpse was flabbergasted and frowned. "Taiyuan Palace Lord? Is that the master of the Taiyuan Palace? This isn't his blood." Lin Feng said, "It's not his blood. Humph. The Taiyuan Palace Lord is one of the 9 sovereigns of the celestial realm. He's a supreme existence, and his blood is the most powerful blood. This blood isn't even worth mentioning." The evil corpse sneered. From the evil corpse's words, Lin Feng had a certain understanding of the ancient cosmic city. It was most likely an ancient city from the celestial realm of the 3 realms. The Taiyuan Palace Lord's identity wasn't simple, but so what? He was nothing compared to the sovereign emperor ancestor. He was nothing. "You're really arrogant. Are you on the same level as the Taiyuan Palace Lord? Do you think you're high and mighty and can look down on the other worlds? What a joke." Lin Feng said indifferently, "An ant dares to spout nonsense in front of me? Do you know what the 3 realms, 6 paths, 10,000 worlds, and other world are like? I was a supreme sovereign back then." The evil corpse said coldly, "That's because you don't know who the owner of the blood on the stone stele is. In front of him, you're nothing," said Lin Feng coldly. He grabbed the edge of the stone tablet with both hands and shouted loudly. Then he suddenly put some strength into his hands. Rumble! Lin Feng shook the stone stele. Lin Feng wanted to lift it up and kill the evil corpse. Chapter 15:21. "Brat, you want to lift the heaven-shaking stele? Who do you think you are? Is the heaven-shaking stele something you can lift just because you want to?" The corpse looked at Lin Yun with disdain. He didn't attack immediately. Instead, he looked at Lin Feng with disdain and ridicule. In the corpse's eyes, Lin Feng was overestimating himself. Ancestor, my blood will never die. My battle intent will never die. I hope I can inherit your martial prowess. Give me a chance. Fight to the death. Even if I die 100 times, I won't regret it. Lin Feng shouted. At that moment, the sovereign emperor's blood in his body vibrated with terrifying fluctuations. Lin Feng's sovereign emperor's blood and the sovereign emperor's blood on the heaven-shaking steel were becoming closer and closer. Finally, the sovereign emperor's blood on the heaven-shaking steel emitted a powerful energy that entered Lin Feng's body. At that moment, Lin Feng could feel the power in his body increasing crazily. Ah! Lin Feng roared. The heaven-shaking steel was gradually lifted up by him. How is this possible? The corpse looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. It's really my heaven-shaking steel. It belongs to me alone. Whoever touches it, I'll make sure they die, without a grave. The corpse roared furiously, his eyes filled with boundless killing intent. Boom! The corpse charged at Lin Feng with boundless killing intent. Sharp claws. Then he slapped at Lin Feng. The void was collapsing. The corpse wanted to bury Lin Feng in the shattered space-time. I came here with the heaven-shaking steel. I'm destined to suppress all living things. Lin Feng was carrying the gigantic stone in his hand and moving forwards with great difficulty. The shattered space-time couldn't harm him at all. Lin Feng used the heaven-shaking steel to suppress the corpse. Asterisk bang. Asterisk along with the sound of a violent collision, there was a loud noise. The corpse was sent flying by the heaven-shaking steel. Wah! The corpse spat out a mouthful of blood. The heaven-shaking steel was simply too powerful. It possessed the power to destroy the heavens and the earth, shattering the heavens and the earth, collapsing the universe. Even someone as powerful as the evil corpse was sent flying, unable to resist. You want to use my treasure against me? You deserve to die. The evil corpse angrily roared. Yours? If it's yours, why can't you summon it back? Lin Feng's expression was cold. He continued to carry the heaven-shaking steel and charged towards the evil corpse. I'll cut you into 1,000 pieces. The evil corpse's voice contained deep resentment. To be hurt by an ant like Lin Feng. The evil corpse was unable to accept this. As far as the evil corpse was concerned, this was a stain in his life. The evil corpse only had one thought, and that was to ruthlessly torture Lin Feng and let Lin Feng die in pain. Bang! Both sides clashed once again. Lin Feng used the heaven-shaking steel to kill the evil corpse. This was his only way to deal with the evil corpse. The evil corpses were very powerful and terrifying, but in the end, they were unable to contend against the heaven-shaking steel. Because the heaven-shaking steel was too strange. It hid too many secrets. Crack! Crack! This time, after the evil corpse was sent flying, its body began to crack. Just how powerful was the corpse's physical bodies? It was actually unable to resist the suppression of the heaven-shaking steel. Lin Feng finally saw the hope of killing the evil corpse. He took the initiative to attack the evil corpse. The evil corpse wanted to dodge, but the heaven-shaking steel's aura had locked onto him. The evil corpse had no way to dodge. He had no choice but to face the terrifying and demonic heaven-shaking steel. Bang! The evil corpse was sent flying by the heaven-shaking steel for the third time. This time, the evil corpse suffered an even more serious injury. Half of its body exploded, and pitch-black blood flowed out. The evil corpse's blood emitted a fishy smell that made people feel nauseous. Ah! The evil corpse roared towards the sky, his eyes flashing with endless killing intent. He was completely enraged, his anger overflowing to the heavens. The evil corpse's body burned fiercely. He was burning his evil source to increase his combat strength. The evil corpse wanted to fight with Lin Feng to the death. The evil corpse had probably already seen that Lin Feng had already controlled the heaven-shaking steel. Although the evil corpse didn't know, Lin Feng, such a weak ant, how could he control the heaven-shaking steel? But the evil corpse had some guesses in his heart. He guessed, could it be related to the blood on the heaven-shaking steel? But whether or not it was because of this reason, Lin Feng had already controlled the heaven-shaking steel. This was an indisputable fact. Only those who had walked through that era knew how terrifying the heaven-shaking steel was. The evil corpse attacked for the fourth time. The evil corpse that was burning his evil source was crazily increasing his combat strength. When he collided with the heaven-shaking steel for the fourth time, the evil corpse was only pushed back, but he wasn't injured again. As the evil source continued to burn, the evil corpse's combat strength also soared. When the evil corpse attacked for the fifth time, he was already able to withstand the heaven-shaking steel's attack. Ha 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 ha, brat. So what if you control the heaven-shaking steel? How can an ant like you unleash the power of the heaven-shaking steel? The evil corpse laughed. The sixth time, he slapped the heaven-shaking steel with one palm, while the other palm slapped towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng took out the death god armor. The evil corpse's attack landed on Lin Feng's body. Crack! Crack! Even with the death god armor's defense, Lin Feng's bones were broken. Puff! Lin Feng spat out a mouthful of blood, his face as pale as paper. His body staggered backward, almost unable to withstand the heaven-shaking stone tablet. It was already very difficult to carry the heaven-shaking steel, not to mention that he had suffered such serious injuries. You can't hold on any longer? A lowly ant wants to contend against fate. What a joke! The evil corpse's voice was cold as he attacked for the seventh time. He sent out another palm strike towards Lin Feng. This palm strike, it was even more powerful. Just as this palm was about to envelop him, Lin Feng felt the aura of death that he had never felt before. It enveloped his entire body. At that moment, he felt it. It was as if his life no longer belonged to him. At the moment when the attack was about to hit Lin Feng, Lin Feng's expression changed. Suddenly, a figure rushed out from the void. Hua Yihan stood in front of Lin Feng. Bang! The evil corpse's attack landed on Hua Yihan's body. Hua Yihan spat out a mouthful of blood. Her body was like a kite with a broken string. She flew backwards. With a plop, Hua Yihan fell to the ground, motionless. At that moment, Lin Feng was completely stunned. Even the evil corpse was stunned. The evil corpse sneered and said, "Sacrificing yourself for others? You lunatic! Ah, I want your life." Lin Feng roared. The sovereign emperor's blood in his body began to spin rapidly, and a powerful sovereign's power surged into Lin Feng's body. The heaven-shaking steel smashed towards the evil corpse's head. The evil corpse's expression changed greatly as he quickly retreated, but it was already too late. Bang! The heaven-shaking steel smashed into the evil corpse's head. The evil corpse's head instantly exploded into pieces. The headless corpse fell to the ground. Lin Feng threw away the heaven-shaking steel and rushed towards Hua Yihan. The beauty had passed away, leaving Lin Feng alone to grieve. Chapter 15:22. The first time I saw you, you were so feisty, but you were so stunning. The second time I saw you, I started to like your fiery personality. It was hard to imagine that you would come to my place in the middle of the night to beat up Duzu. The third time I saw you, I couldn't help but tease you when I saw how angry you were. The fourth time I saw you, you were the one who woke me up. Did you know? I was cursed by the Celestial Master sect. If you hadn't pulled me back, I might have died. Only when I got along with you did I realize how cute you are. I never thought that there would be a day when you would fall by my side, and I couldn't do anything. Lin Feng shed tears. This was the woman who had died to save him. You once told me that I didn't hate you. On the contrary, I liked you a little. Just a little. Would you give up your life for me? Lin Feng hugged Hua Yihan's body, which was gradually turning cold. Since ancient times, love had been left behind. It was easy to wake up from a good dream. It was difficult to free oneself from the plucking of flowers. Pitifully, the flying catkins were too drifting. The fragrant nest was suddenly formed in a Mandarin Ducks Association. A new sentence was written on a jade screen. If it wasn't for parting, her intestines would have been broken. Her old clothes would have been stained with tears. Whispered Lin Feng. He felt like his heart was about to break. This was a woman who was willing to give up her life for him. But now, this beautiful woman had passed away. Everything from the past was still vivid in his mind. It was hard to forget. Yes, I still have the 3 lives, 3 worlds coffin. Lin Feng thought of the coffin. The demon lord had once told Lin Feng about the 3 lives, 3 worlds coffin and its tragic story. The 3 lives, 3 worlds coffin. Rumor has it that it was made of reincarnation, wood to preserve corpses. After 3 lives and 3 worlds, the dead will come back to life. This indeed sounded inconceivable. Even Lin Feng was just listening to the story as if it were a beautiful story. But now Lin Feng really hoped. The rumor was true. After 3 lives and 3 worlds, she would wake up. Lin Feng took out the 3 lives, 3 worlds coffin and put Hua Yihan inside. Maybe the best way is to bury her in the place where the dragon veins gather. Lin Feng gently stroked Hua Yihan's face. If the rumor is true, I will try my best to survive. After 3 lives and 3 worlds, I will come looking for you, said Lin Feng. He took out a jade pendant. This was the only thing of Lin Feng's life. His name was written on the back of the jade pendant. This is a jade pendant my mother gave me. With it by your side, I hope you won't feel lonely. Lin Feng lowered his head and kissed Yihan's forehead. Then he closed the coffin of 3 lives, 3 worlds. At the place where the 9 dragon veins converged, Lin Feng buried the 3 lives coffin there. He set up a stone tablet. The tomb of my beloved wife, Hua Yihan, was written on it. It was an unforgettable pain. Lin Feng stood in front of the lonely grave for 3 days and 3 nights. Then the stone tablet soared into the sky. Is the heaven-shaking steel leaving? Lin Feng murmured to himself. He was sad as he chased after it. The stone tablet soared into the sky. It shattered the small world. Then it flew away. Lin Feng was shocked. Then he followed the stone tablet and flew away. He returned to the ancient city in the starry sky. The great Yuan Dao Palace wasn't far away. The stone tablet had disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng walked alone in the ancient city and arrived in front of the statue of Goddess Nuwa. Goddess Nuwa, I hope you can protect her. After 3 lives and 3 worlds, she can come back to life. Lin Feng kowtowed to the statue of Goddess Nuwa. Boy, it's you. A cold shout came from the distance, accompanied by dense killing intent. Lin Feng looked over. It was the 3-eyed Golden Lion clan. There was the little Lion King, Xian Daoyuan, and a dozen other cultivators. The strongest of them were 2 old men. They should be divine flame realm cultivators. The 3-eyed Golden Lion tribe's strength was enormous. What's the matter? Lin Feng stood up and said coldly. The little Lion King sneered. You dare ask me what the matter is? Boy, kneel down and end your life. That way, you can die a quick death. If you make us do it, you'll die miserably. The noise attracted some cultivators in the surroundings. Many people gathered in the square and looked at the 2 sides in shock. They didn't know Lin Feng, but they knew the three-eyed golden lion clan's experts. When they saw that Lin Feng was alone and surrounded by the three-eyed golden lion clan's experts, they all felt that Lin Feng was about to suffer a calamity. A few female cultivators walked over from the distance. They were Hui Yihan's fellow disciples. The female cultivator, wearing a gauze dress with her face covered, was among them. When she saw Lin Feng, she was slightly surprised. "Senior sister, isn't that the boy?" asked one of the female cultivators. The woman nodded and didn't say anything. "I'm in a bad mood. Get lost. Otherwise, I'll take your lives." Lin Feng glanced coldly at the little Lion King, then at the other three-eyed golden lions. Many people were stunned. Wasn't this boy too arrogant? He was surrounded by so many experts of the three-eyed golden lion clan, and he still dared to be so arrogant. This completely overturned everyone's understanding of the word arrogant. "I'm giving you face, but you don't want it." The little Lion King laughed savagely. "Come with me and kill him," said Xian Dao Yuan coldly. Said Xian Dao Yuan, smiling icily. A dozen strong cultivators from the three-eyed golden lion clan surrounded Lin Feng. The two divine fire realm experts didn't attack. They just watched coldly. In their opinion, killing Lin Feng wasn't a big deal. "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Lin Feng's voice was cold. He directly took out his forbidden weapon, the purple lightning hammer. After that, Lin Feng activated his purple lightning hammer. Boom! The purple lightning hammer emitted a terrifying aura. Purple lightning coiled around Lin Feng. Lin Feng swung the purple lightning hammer and smashed it at the little Lion King. The purple lightning hammer was too terrifying. Millions of lightning bolts rained down. No, the little Lion King felt the terror of the purple lightning hammer and cried out in fear. Bang! In the next moment, the little Lion King was killed by Lin Feng's purple lightning hammer. Next, Lin Feng attacked Xian Dao Yuan and the others. Hammer after hammer smashed over Xian Dao Yuan, and the others couldn't resist the purple lightning hammer's attack. Bang, bang, bang. Their bodies were destroyed. Their souls were destroyed. Run! The two divine fire realm experts' expressions changed. The purple lightning hammer's power was too terrifying. It made their hearts tremble. "We can't escape," Lin Feng shouted coldly. He rushed forward with the purple lightning hammer and smashed it down 36 times. Bang! Bang! The two divine fire realm experts of the three-eyed golden lion clan couldn't win. They were smashed into meat paste by Lin Feng's purple lightning hammer. Author's note: Hui Yihan won't die. She'll wake up in the 3 lives, 3 worlds coffin. This is a trap at the end of the story. Chapter 1523. They're all dead? Isn't that too awesome? Even the 2 divine flame realm experts from the three-eyed golden lion clan were killed. No wonder they're so arrogant. If I had that kind of battle prowess, I wouldn't have put the three-eyed golden lion clan in my eyes either. The three-eyed golden lion clan is usually high and mighty. They can kill people with a single thought. Now that they've kicked an iron plate, they really deserve it. Many people started whispering to each other and discussing spiritedly. Everybody was looking at Lin Feng. They were astonished. They couldn't believe their eyes. Lin Feng put away the purple lightning hammer, then took the spatial rings of the three-eyed golden lion clan members. He walked off into the distance. Everyone made way for Lin Feng. Respect for the strong was a principle that had never changed since ancient times. Lin Feng saw Hui Yihan's fellow disciples. He was slightly surprised, but then he walked over. "Senior sister, that guy is coming. He seems to be coming for us." A few female cultivators whispered. The leader of the group, a veiled woman, nodded. When Lin Feng walked over, she bowed slightly to Lin Feng. Hua, Yihan, I wonder if she still has any family? Lin Feng asked. He really couldn't bring himself to say that Hua Yihan had died. Lin Feng had placed his hopes on the 3 lives, 3 worlds coffin. One day, Hua Yihan would come back to life. The female cultivators naturally understood what Lin Feng was trying to say. When they heard the bad news, they all started sobbing. With Hua Yihan's impetuous personality, she was very popular among her fellow apprentice and junior apprentice sisters. The masked woman said, "Junior sister Hua is very pitiful. She was picked up by an elder in the sect after the rain. It seems like she was an abandoned child. When she was young, her body would often become as hot as a fireball. There were many times when she was almost burned to death by the high temperature. Time and time again, she narrowly escaped death. Later, the elder who picked her up decided to go into the 9 profound glacial ice abyss to find the 9 profound glacial jade in order to help junior sister was suppress the fire energy in her body. That elder brought back the 9 profound glacial jade, but because he was injured in a battle with the ferocious beasts protecting the jade, he died not long after he came back. Junior sister Huo was only 13 years old that year. Even when she was half dead, she never cried. She was very strong, but when that elder died's elder's death, she cried. She was abandoned as a child. Junior sister Huo was her only family. The masked woman didn't continue speaking, and her eyes turned slightly red. Hua Yihan was very pure Hua Yihan. After interacting with her, Lin Feng realized how pure and cute she was. Hua Yihan cherished her relationship with her fellow disciples. Perhaps it was because she had been abandoned as a child. The female cultivator from the Celestial Maiden sect who had adopted her had died a tragic death. She had become an orphan again. This made Hua Yihan cherish her hard-won relationship even more, regardless of whether it was her fellow disciples. Maybe it was because of her feelings for Lin Feng. Lin Feng bid farewell to Hua Yihan's fellow disciples and walked deeper into the ancient city. Now, his heart was filled with pain. The more he understood Hua Yihan, the more he understood her, the more his heart ached for her. When night fell, the ancient city was still very restless. The passage to the underworld would open, and the creatures of the underworld would appear. Many people would choose to hide at this time. However, some unlucky people would be discovered by the creatures of the underworld. Then, they would have no choice but to fight with the creatures of the underworld. Some people would die tragically, while others would successfully escape. Lin Feng saw many creatures of the underworld, such as Yin soldiers, black-robed monsters, and so on. They were all heading in one direction. He was very puzzled. He didn't know where these creatures of the underworld were going. Lin Feng carefully followed behind and walked deeper into the ancient city. In the end, he saw those terrifying beings of the underworld enter an ancient mansion. It was a mansion shrouded in darkness. In the rolling black fog, there were densely intertwined runes. This place was completely sealed. The surrounding space-time was distorted. Outsiders couldn't enter at all. What is this place? Lin Feng was puzzled. He was very puzzled. He wanted to sneak in, but he was discovered by the creatures of the underworld. Hundreds of creatures of the underworld chased after Lin Feng. F***CK, just don't let me leave. Why are you chasing me? Lin Feng shouted gloomily and quickly ran into the distance. The creatures of the underworld chased after him relentlessly. Lin Feng found it very difficult to shake off those terrifying creatures of the underworld. Come here quickly. The door to a courtyard was opened. Lin Feng saw Du Zhu. He quickly rushed in, and Duzu quickly closed the door. There were many people gathered in the courtyard. Lin Feng saw the old monk and the Taoist priest. It seemed that the old monk and the Taoist priest had deceived the creatures of the underworld so that they didn't discover them. Lin Feng cupped his fists towards the crowd, then looked at Duzu and said, "What happened back then? How did you disappear without a trace?" Then a guy who pretended to be you appeared beside me and launched a sneak attack on me. It's an illusion demon. There are terrifying illusion demons here. They are a type of creature from the underworld that can transform into anyone they want. As long as they don't speak, no one will be able to discover their flaws. The poison ancestor said. Then Duzu talked about how he and Lin Feng got separated. At that time, I didn't know what was going on. I was grabbed by an invisible force and was swallowed by endless darkness. I struggled with all my might and went through untold hardships before I managed to escape. It's so strange. What is it that's swallowing you? Do you feel anything? Lin Feng frowned and asked. The longer he stayed in the ancient city, the more he could feel the strangeness of it. Duzu said, "It's this ancient city." Lin Feng had seen the ancient city swallow the corpses of cultivators many times. However, Lin Feng didn't expect the ancient city to be able to swallow living cultivators. It was extremely strange. Lin Feng said with a serious expression, "This ancient city is indeed filled with evil. I just saw many creatures of the underworld enter a mansion shrouded in darkness." Duzu said, "I know that mansion. We went to take a look before." Amitabha, good indeed. At that moment, the old monk with the 10 rays of Buddhist light behind his head put his palms together and said, "This ancient city has a great history. There's probably a terrifying existence trapped in that courtyard. When the ancient city opened, it let us in, and then it closed again. Those of us who entered the ancient city were sacrificed." Hearing the old monk's words, Lin Feng's expression became unprecedentedly serious. He said, "Holy monk, are you saying that we were sacrificed to the mysterious existence in that courtyard?" Chapter 1524. The old monk said, "Amitabha, it's just as you said. That's a possibility." Duzu said, "More than half of the cultivators who entered the ancient city are dead now. The dead cultivators have been devoured by the ancient city. Perhaps they've become sacrificial offerings and become the power of the sacrificial offerings." Lin Feng was bewildered. Does that mean that the mysterious existence in the courtyard has something to do with the underworld? I heard that the underworld has its own rules, while the human world has its own order. The beings of the underworld shouldn't interfere with the affairs of the human world. Even the Yin soldiers only appear at night, in dangerous places. They don't interfere with the affairs of the human world. Don't you think it's strange that the beings of the underworld have entered the ancient city and killed so many cultivators? They've openly violated the laws of the underworld and the human world. A Taoist priest called Yun Tsang said, "What this benefactor said makes sense. This humble Taoist has been thinking about this problem for a long time, and it seems that it's indeed very strange." Duzu said, "I've thought of a possibility." Oh, everyone looked at Duzu. The existence in the courtyard might not have anything to do with the underworld, but it might have formed some kind of agreement with the beings of the underworld. Duzu said. After a pause, Duzu continued, "If the beings of the outside world are cooperating with the beings of the underworld, it wouldn't be considered a violation of the rules of the underworld and the human world. Then what kind of existence is cooperating with the beings of the underworld?" Lin Feng was puzzled. This was a question that he couldn't figure out for the time being. Lin Feng and the others could only continue to wait. After 1,000,000 years of imprisonment, I can finally come out and walk around again. On this day, a deep voice reverberated throughout the entire ancient city. At this moment, all the cultivators in the ancient city were alarmed. In the deepest part of the courtyard, which was shrouded in black fog, there were sounds of footsteps. Then, a series of footsteps could be heard. Following that, a terrifying being walked out of the courtyard. It was a ferocious being with a human body, a flood dragon's tail, and a crocodile's head. Its body emitted an extremely evil aura. This living being was simply too terrifying. Even the space around him was distorting. It was hard to imagine what level of cultivation this living being had. The air outside is still the best. The living being took a deep breath. After this living being came out, a second living being came out. The second being was a terrifying being that looked very similar to a giant spider. However, this being had 9 heads on its abdomen. The 9 heads were all human heads. Next, a third being, the fourth living being, the fifth living being. More and more creatures walked out. A total of 17 creatures walked out. Each of these creatures was more powerful than the last. When they stood together, the world was about to collapse. We're free. We're free again. These creatures let out excited roars. The hunt has begun. A creature spoke, taking the lead to rush out. Soon, the massacre began. These 17 beings were so powerful that they made the world tremble. It was hard to imagine what kind of cultivation they had. In the ancient city, there was no place they couldn't go. Many cultivators who were hiding in the old mansions were found by these terrifying creatures. Then, these cultivators were killed. Their flesh, blood, and essence were all devoured by these terrifying beings. The courtyard where Lin Feng and the others were hiding was also visited. This being's body was like a werewolf's. Its head was incomparably huge, and it had a very long mouth with 2 rows of sharp spikes in it. Its eyes bulged, and it was ferocious and ugly. This monster had 4 arms. 2 of its arms were sharp claws. The third and fourth arms were like the claws of a praying mantis, and they were shaped like a huge blade. This being also had a huge pitch-black tail. The tail was like a scorpion's, and there was a sharp spike at the end of the tail. The spike flickered with a blue luster. It was obviously poisonous. A foreign god. When he saw the being in the courtyard, Lin Feng's face turned pale with shock. Back on the ancient evildoer, Lin Feng had seen a foreign god. These foreign gods were unimaginably powerful. They were simply undefeatable existences. Lin Feng would probably never forget this evil aura for the rest of his life. What? Is this a foreign god? Do foreign gods really exist in this world? Many people cried out in alarm. In the starry sky world, there were still some legends of foreign gods. But they were just legends. No one had ever seen a foreign cultivator. Since they had never seen one, it was naturally very difficult for them to believe that the mysterious foreign really existed in this world. However, Lin Feng and Du Zhu had seen foreign cultivators before. It was precisely because they had seen them that they knew how terrifying the foreign gods were. There are still people who can recognize us foreign gods. It's truly inconceivable. Countless years have passed. And we even thought that everything about the foreign world had been drowned out by history. The foreign god let out a sinister cry. Everyone, let's kill him together. If we can't kill him, we'll die. Lin Feng gritted his teeth and brought out the 9 demons painting. There were about 100 people in the courtyard, and they were all experts. This was especially true for the Buddhist monks and Taoist priests. Their methods were even more extraordinary. Therefore, Lin Feng's side was also abnormally powerful. Attack. No one hesitated and charged at the foreign god. By now, everyone had basically figured out what was going on. These foreign gods were trapped in the ancient city. They could only come out once every 1,000,000 years. And this time, it was time for them to come out and hunt. At this time, everyone would become the foreign god's prey. Either they killed the foreign gods, or they were killed by the foreign gods. At this point, there were no other possibilities. A bunch of lowly ants want to fight against a foreign god. You really overestimate yourselves. The foreign god in front of them had the same personality as the foreign god Linfeng had seen before. It was incomparably arrogant and looked down on the cultivators of the 3,000 great worlds. The foreign god rushed into the crowd, its huge scorpion tail flying out as fast as lightning. Pooh! The sound of tearing could be heard. Immediately, 5 or 6 cultivators' chests were pierced by the foreign god's huge scorpion tail. They died extremely miserably.